Right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to session 9 of the Imris Saga. We are lacking today one Sean, but we have everybody else here. We're gonna get into it. Last session, the party mostly hung around in Melfinian's tower, getting to know Melf, kind of sharing some more details about each other. There was some exploration of Talentfagon done by Uva, Sulveran, and Alveron, in which they were harassed, I think is the right word, by several merchants in the bazaar. And while in the gardens, Alveron ran into an old, not friend, I guess acquaintance. They didn't know each other that well, but they were the front. They sold goods on behalf of the Blackened Skies, Alveron's old ship. And they informed Alveron that the ship would be docking in Talentfagon in 3 months, that they should be wary. It also gave them some advice about how to perhaps handle the bounty that's been placed on Alveron's head, at least in the city. Meanwhile, back at the tower, Will and Medea were doing some learning, doing some language learning. It was a lot of there was actually a lot of backstory that session, so I don't want to recap every little detail, but it was a backstory heavy session. Go watch it, and then come back here and keep watching this. Just pause this now, finish that episode, then return here and unpause.
Watch both in split screen, audio from both.
Yes, there you go. That's the best way to do it. But at the very end of it, the party decided, partially because of Sean's absence, that they were going to go do an adventure, earn some coin before going to, while Alveron prepares to meet with this shadowy contact that he was given. So, it is the next morning at Melfindian's tower, after having slept, all of you. You've awoken refreshed. You had all your baths and a good meal yesterday. You're feeling reinvigorated. If you didn't, long rest for some reason to get your spells and stuff back, you can do so now. You should basically be at full everything topped off at this point, since there hasn't been a combat in a while. You all kind of gather in the lounge area, and Alveron will since you already kind of talked about the plan a little bit, I think at the end of last session, Alveron is kind of getting ready to go about his business, so he at the moment is absent, maybe in his room or something like that. The rest of you,
are we
yes.
Are we expecting Alveron to come with us? I feel like we talked about last time.
Oh yeah, we did say that. I forgot.
Yeah. You
Never mind.
I
Alveron's there, but he seems distracted. Is what I will say.
Alveron's less talkative.
Yeah.
Or talking to Melf about something.
Kala is doing some studying with the book in the corner. Not in a corner, but off to the side a little bit.
Well, we should we're going to the Dragons Tooth Inn, I think it's called. Tavern? I don't remember.
But yes, it is in Dust Town, on the north side of the western half of the city. I'll give you some, write down some directions Melfindian does.
Great. Will takes the directions, looks at them pretty briefly, and then hands them to Uber.
I don't know if Uva would be the best navigator, but they're going to embrace their role as navigator.
Fine. Okay. The five of you then set off with a wave from Nelthidian and Kala. Uba leading the way. Uba, why don't you go ahead and make me a survival check? You're actually
Oh,
pretty
Lord.
decent at this, so
Can I
Okay.
give them advantage from helping out, like subtly?
sure.
Can I give them advantage from purely just
Nudge them.
believing them enough?
You could give them Bardic Inspiration.
Okay, there's the first one.
Nah. I don't want to do that. That's probably fine.
We'll take the 17. Yeah, it's not. At least at first, you're kind of just heading in a direction, so it's hard to be lost at the moment. You head, choosing to not go around the bazaar this time. You head straight across the Temensian Bridge. And you can see it's morning. There's some ships coming in to be docked. You can see fishermen kind of here and there heading out of the wharf, going to do their daily business. And already the bridge, which is kind of two-tiered, is fairly busy with people. You can see there are food stalls off to the sides as carts kind of roll past you as you're making your way along. You cross the bridge and head north, passing along the Ruby Palace off to your left. Kind of seeing it for the first time, high red bricked walls, and it's also on a rise. It's built up. It's on an artificial hill, you could say, and it's possible from your vantage point to see down into. Or really from any vantage point to see down into the actual palace grounds. So it's just to you a high wall off to your left. All these die rolls going on.
Sorry, I can't see any rolls coming through, and I was like clicking different stuff to be like, is this coming through?
Okay.
Can I see this? So I have to reload.
I can see that you're rolling. It's not popping up in chat. Which is
Well,
a
that's
little
more
strange.
weird.
Yeah, it's a little
Hey,
strange.
I'll just reload.
Yeah, you head along there till you get to Dust Town, which you can tell is a little bit less nice part of town. You could see like sand piles kind of up against different buildings that just haven't been cleared. It seems like this maybe gets a brunt of the wind. Eventually, with your 17, you do find a fairly spacious, large-looking inn and tavern. It says on the outside in big gold-painted letters, the Dragon Tooth Tavern. You push open the doors, and upon entering, you could see a large fireplace off in the center. To your right is a bar with a kind of Elkar bartender who glances up as you walk in. It's just polishing. And there's just a couple people. Like I said, it's still early by the time you get here, maybe late morning. There's a couple of people just sitting around. A lot more armored and armed people here than elsewhere in the city. Almost everybody who's sitting down in this room has a visible weapon, and if they don't, they look like they probably don't need it, meaning that they have magic of some kind up their sleeves. Lots of robed figures. You, Uba, do see, as you walk in, a kobold sitting not too far from the center of the room, outfitted in plate mail, with a helmet kind of resting on the table next to him. He is like kind of stuffing his face with what seems like a meat rice dish at the moment. But for the most part, people kind of just ignore you as you walk in. Okay, I saw that one.
Can I look around and see if I can find the bounty board anywhere?
Yeah, it's a big list of boards off to the left, opposite from the bar. And there's various different just slips of paper just kind of nailed in. at various different points.
Media will point to the bulletin board and just start walking towards it. And once they get there, they're just going to start reading through the bounties one by one in their head.
Okay, it takes you some time, so Mindy is off reading the bounties while that happens. What's everybody else doing?
I
Well,
think
like,
that. Go ahead, Jack.
Go ahead, Marisa. No, it's fine. You go ahead.
I was gonna say I think Uba would probably first definitely want to get some food, but then would probably want to take it and sit with the kobold in the armor.
You go and grab some food. As you get up up there, the or bartender will kind of look at you. He'll say, "Are you a guild member?"
Uba's gonna say, or gonna look confused and say, "Guild of what?"
Oh, the Adventurers Guild here. If you're a member, your meals are cheaper.
Uba's certainly interested in cheaper meals, so their interest is piqued, and they say, "Well, how would I join if I wanted to join this guild?"
Oh, well, you could talk to any of the senior members. There's a couple in the bar. I could wait. I could go get somebody, but you talk to them. They'll test you out, kind of make sure you're not just going to die right away on us. And then you pay a small fee, and you get a room here to stay in, discounted meals, and the guild takes a percentage of any bounty, quest money, that kind of thing. It's just a small fee, mostly to help, with supplies, outfitting new members. We do have an armory and stuff like that.
Uba's gonna kind of nod, thinking to themselves, they like the idea of cheaper food and a place to stay, but also their attention started to wane a little bit when they heard cut of the bounty.
Like,
So at least for now, they're going to say, I think that sounds like quite a bargain. Perhaps I will ask around. But they're more concerned with getting food, and we'll put it in an order instead.
All right, and he will very quickly. There's a big pot. He'll grab a bowl and start to scoop up this same sort of dish that you saw the other kobold eating. It's almost like a rice pilaf.
Okay. Yeah. So
that sounds good.
It does actually. I would be down for some rice pilaf. But Uba's going to scoop up the bowl and will tip the bartender. I'm not sure what an appropriate tip would be in D&D money.
A gold would be a lot. A silver would be generous. A copper would be like, okay.
Okay, they'll tip them the bartender as silver because of that information about the Adventurers Guild, and then go over to this kobold and just kind of awkwardly sit down, because Uba's definitely not the most charismatic person, to say, "Hello there, brethren."
Just so you know, your meal was also 1 silver.
Okay.
100% tip. That's Uber's policy.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's like a pretty good tip, but not crazy. It's not like dropping $100 bill.
Got it.
That is the most I've ever respected Uba, and that's not like an insult.
Kind of turns around. A kobold. Hello, friend.
Uba, I don't know what a kobold customary greeting is, but Uba will do that, whatever type of handshake or gesture they do.
I think it's probably very regional, so it's up to you.
You slam an egg into the other one's mouth. You just go, "Hiya!" like a slam dunk.
A regional thing. I'll just go with trying to think of. In Uba's clan, they do fist bumps, so Uba's going to try and give the kobold a fist bump.
You like let me make an intelligence offer. There you go. Great.
Medea just walked off to read the board. Uber goes to sit with the kobold, and I think Will just looks at Sulveran and shrugs and goes to sit at the bar.
13. Okay, that's not that bad. And he glances at your hand. He says, he. There we go.
Keep back.
Uba is kind of trying to collect themselves because it's been a while since they actually talked to a kobold, but they'll say, I've heard from the great Melfindian here that you were an adventurer. Is that so? Without bothering to actually ask his name, Uba's just going to launch right into it.
Malfindian, yes. Yes, I am the Great Ort. Pleasure to meet you. What did you need?
Uba didn't think this far ahead and is going to say, I heard from the bartender that there is some sort of adventurers guild here. Are you a member? Are you an adventurer? I can tell by your armor that you probably are.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm sure Malfindian told you, but yes, I'm an adventurer, and I am one of the senior members of the Dragons Tooth Tavern Adventuring Company. We do all sorts of jobs around here in the desert. Mainly, me and my mount work alone, but I'll group up with people when the need calls for it.
I think at this point, Uba's still kind of skeptical about the idea of adventuring in a group or a guild, but thinks that perhaps other members in the party might be interested. So they're going to wave to Sulveran and Will. I'm assuming Medea is still looking at the board. So Uba's going to try and get their attention, wave them over.
Sulveran just obligingly followed Will over to the bar, so is probably staring at the massive selection of ales and various foods with his usual sense of just there are too many choices.
Yeah, and there are actually there's a pretty good selection here, despite it not being in perhaps the best part of town.
I think Will is in no way as discerning and probably just ordered an ale and get something. But noticing Uber wave at her, Sulveran kind of nudges Sulveran and gestures with her head that Uber is trying to get them to come over. And then we'll finish that. Take the ale over, I guess, and sit down.
5 copper for a monk here.
Great. I'll pay for Sulveran's whatever as well.
Well,
Yeah,
Silver.
he just literally just points at Will and what Will is drinking and takes the same.
For no reason, Will and Sulveran are not speaking in this scene.
Truly
We've
the
just
same.
decided that neither of them felt like speaking.
You're both handed a mug of ale.
All right, yeah, he's gonna follow her over and settle down, trying not to be incredibly obvious about the fact that he's just, kind of fascinated to see another kobold to talk to.
Is this your party?
Uba nods and says, yes, this is Will and Sulveran, and as well as Medea over there, and gestures to Medea, and then turning to Will and Sulveran says, this is Ort, a great adventurer, a great kobold.
You may have heard a tale of Ort Redclaw, the adventurer. Maybe.
I have not.
I have to roll a thing. What's it? Oh, yeah, this is I'll find this voice at some point in this sentence. That's my plan. What's this? Yeah, Meeple's son. Meeple, the cleric that we spent some time with in Karad.
Uba is surprised by this information and
looks at you.
You're the son of Meeple.
No, I'm no. Meeple is the father of me.
Of course, Ort's achievements do stand his own. Will, I don't think know. Oh well, I could roll history, but Will has never rolled to know stories of Ort's achievements. But
No, you
I
just
think
know
realizes that she made
about
an enormous blunder by
yeah.
forgetting that they are not on good terms.
You know that fact. I don't think you know that much about Ord,
Oh.
unless you want to roll a history check.
Perhaps this
will,
is a
I
piece
think.
of common with which I am not familiar. If he is the father of you, then you are the son of him, yes?
But order, precedence, it matters.
It is important sometimes, Sulveran, that the prestige goes to that who. Meeple being the father of Ort makes Ort the prestigious one. As of course you are. And Will like gestures
And
pleasantly, despite not being able to recall any stories at all about Ort.
says, and not that I am overly curious, but how is the old kobold?
He was fine when we were there last. Will kind of left a pause for Uber to answer this question. But
Yeah, Uba will pick up on that and nod and say, yes, we saw him. I don't know, was it a few weeks ago that we were there?
Yeah, a few weeks ago, like 2 or 3. I'd have to double check my notes.
Yeah, Ubo's not going to bother to mention anything actually important, but just say, we saw him a few weeks ago and he made us delicious eggs for breakfast.
Eggs. Anyways, enough about my father. What can Ort do for you? Your friend, sorry, what was your name? He looks at Uba.
Uba says, oh, excuse me, my name is Uba.
Ah, Uba. Your friend Uba here was telling me that Nilfindian told you to fight me. I haven't seen the old coot in a couple months. Good to know he's still kicking. What was it that you needed me for?
Uh,
yeah, Will looks at Uber because
You
Will
looking
doesn't
for
have
work?
a memory of this being important. But
Uba was mostly just curious to meet another kobold, but they don't want to sound like that was all they wanted, so they said, Melfindian told us that we should talk with some of the great adventurers in this city as we become more acquainted with it, and is kind of bullshitting, but
Well,
Will nods along.
you've come to the best spot. There's lots to do here. Even if you don't want to join the guild, you can always take jobs. And I'll point out the job board, which Medea is like busy reading.
Like a nerd.
Yeah. Medea's gonna come back with like photographic memory of every job.
yeah.
Will says, we were looking to pick up some kind of work as well. We find ourselves at a bit of a loss, and making some money and gaining some adventuring experience is never bad.
Well, if you're needing some money, there's a couple jobs I know of that, well, I was thinking about dealing with, but for newcomers, I could set you up.
Sure. What jobs did you have in mind?
Well, for a moment, scratches the back of his ears. Oh, there's one with a drake, a bloodthirsty drake. It's been terrorizing some herdsmen over in the Eastern Hills. Payout's pretty good though. 700 if you manage to slay the beast, and 150 for making sure it doesn't got any eggs or anything. Going to the lair, smashing it up, that kind of thing.
Will nods and says,
There's also a couple bounties, but it's a bit trickier, a bit more detective work. Not sure if that's something that your group's into.
we leave almost all the detective work to Uber here.
As well you should. Kobolds are the brightest of the races in Imris.
Uba lifts. Uba didn't order a drink, so they raised their rice pilaf in acknowledgement.
Which seems to remind Orc that like he still has half a bowl of food, and he quickly like.
Sulveran's going to lean forward. What type of drake exactly?
Well, they didn't really say. It's supposed to be blood, crimson red in color, and I've heard that it grows enraged at the sight of blood. Its own blood, other people's blood, sheep's blood, goat's blood, that kind of thing. It's supposed to be frighteningly strong. Rip apart buildings.
Well, no,
Uba kind of like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
we do need to. It might be a good idea to learn a bit more about drakes and other lesser dragonkin. She like tilts her head a bit and says, "Also, I suspect the prestige of destroying such a angry, strong drake would put us in good standing with this guild you were mentioning."
Well, if you were able to do it, then you'd certainly have an open invitation to come in. I'm assuming that since you know Melfindian, you're pretty up to snuff, which is why I'm skipping past the easy jobs, dealing with scorpions in the desert, that kind of thing.
I do not
Well,
like the
that's-
desert. Sulveran is looking over to Medea.
This
I think
Kinda
Medea
wondering.
has probably returned to the group by this point. Is that fair?
I feel like Medea's kind of just been standing nearby for a little
Yeah.
bit, because there's not an
Yeah,
open
Medea's
chair. There's
Not
only
even
4 chairs at the
particularly
table.
stealthy. Is now just like shadowing behind Sulveran and
if Will
watching
notices that
this.
there's just a lack of chair, will vacate her chair and then go get another one. Like
Very quickly do
and
the
gesture to
dance
Medea and
of,
say,
oh, here you go.
Medea, take a seat. You can tell everyone about the jobs on the board. Orc has
Yes,
given us some insight into the a job that he thought might be appropriate. Something about drakes. Will kind of raises her voice as she walks away to get another chair, and then back to a normal like tone without really
Can I-
stopping the sentence.
Can I make a history check as to like what's the usual cause of praise to drakes like this?
Yeah, history check's gonna be hard, but you can do it.
Okay.
I would also accept an Arcana check.
I would like to make an Arcana check, please.
Really good roll.
I'm so terrible at everything.
Okay, so yeah, I mean +10. I got it. Medea, you've heard stories about crazed drakes, kind of bloodthirsty drakes. It's not like as far as your stories have said, it's not like triggered by anything. It's just these kinds of drakes are like this. It's almost like a shark-like frenzy that is just innate to them. But you've heard stories. They're fairly rare. If it's the kind that you've heard about. There are some kind called like blood drakes or rage drakes. They're about the size of like a horse. Rippling muscle, pretty hard to kill. Is what your stories have said. For the most part, they'll attack livestock, but they're not above catching, lone travelers or maybe a pair of travelers on the road if they think that they can win the fight. They're not intelligent, at least no more intelligent than say like a wolf or something like that.
Yeah.
Will, you know that these creatures are thought to be most related to the red dragon That's kind of what they seem to take most after. Although these drakes are wingless, but they are a similar red color. They've got phalanges, or not phalanges. The word
Fringe?
fringe, yeah, fringe all around their neck. That it's almost like a mane. And they rage almost like a barbarian's rage. They seem to have like that ability. But for them, it's triggered by the smell and taste of blood.
They aren't like.
typically hunt alone.
You said they don't like speak or anything. Like Uba wouldn't be able to communicate with them in Draconic.
They can't speak back.
Okay.
They might be able to understand you a little bit, but only as much as, say, like, again, like a wolf might be able to, kind of thing.
Well, it's not unusual for this kind of thing. With a drake like this, it's more like a wild beast. I'd be comfortable hunting it. The payout is good, and like Will said, learning more about dragons could be useful. Plus, if it has a lair, it says on the bounty, that's going to contain its own set of rewards, I imagine.
Uba nods. They look a little bit uncomfortable, but they said it would be a worthy opponent.
Also, I should Will. They do like to collect gems, but they don't like hoard. They don't have like big treasure hoards kind of things. But they typically take their kills back to their lair and eat them there. So if they have accosted any random travelers, whatever those travelers had on them would probably be in the lair.
I think Will nods and potentially sensing Uber's reticences. Well, also, they do collect gems and such, so they might have some shiny things there. But also, any other adventurers that have gone and perhaps failed to deal with these drakes may have left behind some other riches. They don't hoard things quite in the same way that a dragon does.
Uba's nodding, and they definitely perked up a bit at the idea of gemstones and treasures. They still look a little uncomfortable, but says, "It seems like a sizable bounty. It might be worth it to do."
It'll be nice to actually get paid for the jobs that I've been doing.
Sulveran's gonna look down at his coin purse. I think at this juncture, anything will do.
I would like to have some solid money on me as well. I need better armor at some point.
Uba looks slightly uncomfortable with the fact that they're the only person that actually has a fair amount of money.
Yeah. Well, three of us
well,
don't care about money quite enough.
I could make you new armor. I'm a smith. I'm actually a cleric, but I smith things. I worship Gordal.
How much would you charge for plate armor?
See up and down. Are we talking like my plate armor? As you look down, he is wearing a very, very fine suit of plate armor.
Just some
something
some plate
serviceable.
armor.
Well, for a fellow adventurer, I could probably give you a pretty good discount. Say 1,000.
When I have that much money, I will bring it to you. That is very solid discount.
Sulveran has no real idea of what things cost, and so he's kind of trying to study this kobold to see if he's just bullshitting or not.
Yeah, sure, make an insight check.
Let's see. Despite my proficiency in insight, I usually roll it terribly, so let's see how this goes. Also, it's not
We're
rolling.
normally
so...
opposing Will. Like, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. I'm rolling by hand, but that's my
16.
Yep.
Okay, pretty good. No, or it seems to be you're kind of reading several expressions at once. So Ort seems to be like friendly in this moment, like generally just wants to help. And I think Medea doesn't show it that much because they don't show that much emotion. But you've been traveling them long enough. You can tell that they are fairly pleased by this offer. It seems like a good deal. At least Medea seems to think so.
Medea doesn't normally almost immediately accept offers.
What about if we perhaps supplied you with some kind of large amount of red drake scales to tip the balance of that below 1,000? Or could you make something with red drake scales? I think we might be coming into some soon.
Wow, that's true. I could probably whip something up. Probably not plate. I've never worked with red rage drakes before, but most drake scales aren't quite tough enough for plate mail. But scale mail or something similar to studded leather. Those I could work with those, but I'm happy to accept trade as well if you want to give me the skins as payment, partial payment for the plate mail.
I, for a enormously long time, was a quartermaster on a ship. Can I roll something to know the rough value of a full set of drake scales?
Like
Can I make a history? Can I make a
business
history check as well? From having worked with armor and weapons and such.
No, I don't. It doesn't really strike me as a particularly history type thing.
Okay.
Sorry, what did you say the check was for?
I
Will?
think what would be the best for this.
Persuasion.
Yeah,
I think that
that's
was
a
worth
very
shot.
weird one.
Yeah.
I would say you can make an intelligence check plus your bardic inspiration,
So
or not
plus
bardic
jack of all
inspiration
trades.
plus jack of all trades. Yeah, so just a straight int, but add your jack of all trades.
All right, I'm gonna roll nature then because that is that one.
Yeah, I feel like this should be a tool proficiency, but I can't think of a specific one.
Yeah. I mean, it would be the same, right? Because
Yeah.
Can I make a nature check as well?
It's not a nature check. He's just using that
I
as a
couldn't be
replacement.
looking into it.
It would be a type of tool proficiency. I'd have to double check what it would be. I know
Tool
none of you have it
proficiency,
though.
supply and demand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Depending on how big it is, like a full and like how well it was skinned, it could certainly be worth maybe as much as 250 gold on its own, just in materials.
That's pretty
Will
good.
nods and says, "Well, I'm pretty happy with if you're needing some new plate mail, Medea, we can put some of what we find with the dragon towards that as well. Makes it a little bit cheaper for you.
I
I
would
have the
appreciate.
best armor I'll ever wear. Justice is still pristine. It's actually she got hit by something at some point. There's like one small mod part of it armor.
I would appreciate it. I think even with the scales, it would take a bit more time to pay them, but some help. Surely not much longer than after this task. There's only with the leave of the party, and they look to Uba and Sulveran if they agree with this idea.
Uba nods.
Sulveran just stares at them in a very obviously sort of way, and just slowly begins to nod.
Yeah, good.
The better equipped you are, the less that I need to consider healing you.
Yeah, I like the way you think.
Will, I think, says to Uba in that kind of way that this is not a whisper, but I'm just talking to Uba. It's like do you think there are real normal clerics in the world? Not strange clerics?
Uba kind of shrugs and says, if there are, I've never met any.
What exactly would be normal then?
I don't know. Everyone always relishes blood so much as the cleric. Looks at like Ort a bit and says, "Anyway, so Medea, you know where the drake's meant to be?" She gestures for flying.
Would I have gotten that from the bounty board?
Yes, it did say near a town called Halamas, although you don't know. Actually, I think Medea, you can know roughly where that is. Of course, you
Yeah.
can always ask Meeple, or sorry, or somebody else.
Deal say near a small town. It is a small town, right?
Yeah, small town, large village.
Near a smallish town in Talamus. At some point, my caravan went through there a number of years ago. I could certainly get us there.
No real time like the present. Will kind of looks at the other four because Alveron is here, and
Oh yeah, Alveron's just like, I'm here.
Alveron's
I'm
probably
just
talking to other people. Like
thinking about the future.
that's the greatest portrayal of Alveron. Yeah. So I think Will like looks to the others to see if they're happy to go right now. She doesn't have a reason to not.
Sulveran has drained his ale and is already standing.
Ubo says, I'm going to try and get one of these, and they gesture towards their rice bowl for the road, and they're going to go back to the bar and get another one.
Medea, is the street food in Talanfagon as good as it seems to be from our wandering through?
It's okay. I'm not particularly attached.
Will's slightly considering now ordering also a bowl of pilaf to go.
That's pretty good. You can smell like saffron and jasmine.
We're going east, right? This is to the east.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to the west. Yeah, the hills west of the city. Yep.
All right, Will order, go up behind Uber and also order some rice to go. And next time they walk through the city, we'll just do like a food truck walk of just I order from everywhere.
I'm sure Ubo would love that.
All right. You get your bowls of rice to go. They hand them to you in like they'll take your bowl, which is like clay kind of pottery bowl, and they'll hand you if you say you want to go. They'll hand you a bowl in like it seems to be a very large leaf or several leaves that have been woven together in such a way that to make a bowl shape, and then put the rice in there. They don't have to give out bowls if somebody wants it for the way out.
Great.
Collecting this, you all prepare to leave. Ort will shout after you. He says, do come back, and if you survive, we'll see about celebrating.
Ubo.
Will like turns with a smile, but leaves Uber to speak, I guess.
Oh, I was just going to say Uba waves very enthusiastically and says, we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Not thinking that they're going to be in any danger at all. Like, oh, it's fine.
All right.
Yeah. No threat at all. Never. There is no version of this session where anybody is ever in danger.
All right. You guys head west. You have to cross the you cross the new bridge this time before making your way out of the city. By the time you've finished doing all this, it's like early afternoon, and it is somewhat hot desert as the day is continuing on, even though it's still early in the year. In most places, this would still be considered. It would still be considered around late winter time, early spring. But here in the desert, that doesn't mean that much. So that by the time you're walking, sand is up in your face. You can feel the heat bearing down on you. But you travel on. They get everybody.
I think as they're eating their bowls of rice, Sulveran just like quietly takes out another ration bar and is like chewing that with the deliberate like doesn't look either direction.
Sure. Can you get everybody to make me Constitution saving throws as you guys are making your way through the heat?
Sure.
Medea, you can have advantage.
Oh, okay.
Not that you need it.
Yeah. Okay. 22. So.
Will just crushed it. Sulveran
The thing is that
immediately
I've never
dies.
been bad at
Actually-
Constitution. Like Will and Sulveran have the same Constitution, but not really.
Not really. Sulveran,
This is actually really appropriate.
yeah, you once again are just not used to, and you don't seem to like very much this desert heat. You go through most of your water skin pretty quickly as you're like trudging at some point through the desert. Will, you're taking this in stride. I mean, you're used to being on the deck of ships out in the sun all day long, in a variety of different temperatures. So you're just like, it's hot, but no big deal for you. Same thing, Medea, you're used to this and you're pretty covered up, so you're not that worried about it. And Uba, to you, this is actually a little bit pleasant, since you're more used to having to try to find a place to warm up in rather than a place to cool down. Nice on your scales.
Do I notice that?
Oh yeah, you all can
Sulveran's
tell
struggling.
that Sulveran is like, oof. And Sulveran, you're going to take a point of exhaustion for your critical fail.
Fair enough. Sulveran just looks at Medea and oh, go ahead.
As they're struggling, actually, can I try and help them by taking off my egg robe with the hood and putting it over Sulveran to get some pepper from the heat?
Sure, they still take the point of exhaustion, but
Okay.
you're now covered a little bit. You've got trying to get some shade.
Is there a mechanism for tracking that on my sheet? I found it just now.
Okay. Still a happy face.
There we go.
The currently
the
happy
ironic.
face.
Yeah.
Yes.
That will progressively get less happy as you become more and more exhausted.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Sulveran is going to just kind of like sort of pat in Medea's general direction in thanks, but not really say anything and just keep trudging.
Eventually, as you continue along the road, you start to enter into hilly terrain. Kind of not very big. At first, it's just like a little slightly rolling hills, but then you start to get to sort of hills with rocky outcroppings. It's got some shrubs in it, scrub trees, that kind of thing. As you start to get in, and it does cool down slightly as you start to enter into pockets of shade. By probably just after dinner time, you guys have eaten a couple times from whatever rations you might have. You start to enter into the outskirts of a small town. You can see kind of plaster walls, sort of mud bricked buildings, as you start to enter into what seems to be kind of like a small herding village market thing. By the time that you guys are getting there, it's pretty empty. There's a couple people moving between buildings here and there. But according to Medea, and from what you all know, this appears to be the town of Halamas. I will say the bounty was placed by, I neglected to mention this thing, but I'll write it down right now. The village elder.
I have 2 chicken strips.
Geladian. Then the notes for you.
From
But it didn't say where he could be found, just in the town.
I will.
Um,
I mean, unless. No, go ahead, Sarah.
would I know, like, roughly where in the town I'd find,
No.
like, a
I know
central
you
area?
said you passed here before, but that wouldn't be true. You would have had no reason to ever come here before.
Okay. Would I know if there's, in a village like this, like, some sort of, like, central gathering area?
There's a little bit of a market, and there, the well, really. You can see there's a well in town. There are a couple people here and there. That you could stop.
Could Uba just like grab the closest person near them and just say, "Do you know Geladian?" With like no "Hello, my name is," just like "Hello, do you know Geladian?"
Yeah.
No introduction.
And that's I get that ort out of me. I'm gonna be doing that for like the next 2 hours. It's, constantly. It says well, Geladian, he is I'll point at a building over there. He usually spends nights at the bar lately. You could probably find him at one of the tables. Are you here about the Drake?
Uba nods and kind of gestures back at the rest of the party and says, "Yes, we're here. I'm sure we'll take care of it in no time."
Thank the gods. You know, it's eaten already 24 different animals. And, well, supposedly it tried to go after one of the boys in the town. So I wasn't there when that happened.
Uba nods and says, "Don't fret. We will take care of it in no time. You have our word." And like kind of puffs out their chest to make themselves look tough.
Good luck. You're going to need it. He continues on his way. The 5 of you. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm not sure if the rest of the party was within earshot of that, but if they weren't, Uba will just tell them what they heard.
Makes sense.
Right.
Sulveran is doing his best to not look like the desert walk just kicked his ass for this person that they've just accosted.
Yeah, this guy is perhaps not the most confident in you at the moment.
Yeah.
It's fine. There's 4 of us, and also this guy.
It's
That's a good plan. Let me roll Alveron Constitution.
No.
Thanks for reminding me. A 2. You will also take a point of exhaustion.
No.
I just imagined we had Alveron in a extra dimensional space until he was needed for combat.
The reason Sulveran's so tired is that Sulveran's been like carrying a carriage, which Alveron is in.
Yeah, that's it.
Even though that makes no sense.
All right.
Will continues to be happy to just let Uba and Medea deal with things.
Okay. You guys make your way
over
to...
What time of day is it?
It's dusk. It's pretty late. I mean, it's not late, but certainly the end of the traveling day. You all make your way over to this bar that's been pointing out to you. It doesn't even have like a name. It's just the local bar. At least there's no sign or anything like that outside. It's a small tap room, like clearly just this thing where this is where the villagers kind of meet. Maybe they'll get a meal here or a drink every once in a while. It's a fairly low ceilinged room. To Sulveran, you have to kind of slouch a little bit. And people kind of glance over as you enter. marking you out as not from here. And one kind of fairly important looking Elcar. He's dressed a little bit nicer than everybody else. And has a gold chain around his neck with a little symbol on it. Will glance at you as you enter and say, are you all here about the Drake?
Yes.
Well, come, sit down.
Medea will
Gestures
take a
for you
seat.
over the table.
As
He
they
was-
take a seat, Sulveran is going to pull off the cloak and drape it back over Medea's shoulders with a squeeze.
It's sweaty.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it is probably really sweaty.
Damp, warm cloak. Here you go.
Yeah.
Some of the other Elcar clear some space for you as you all begin to sit down. So, but that somebody's come. We were only able to post that bounty about a week ago. Are you? Glances over. Are you all experienced at this sort of thing? Some others came by, but they left. They weren't able to finish the job. Seemed wounded, so we've kind of lost hope a little bit.
Can Uba do some sort of like fancy knife trick and then say we're more than capable?
Okay, yeah. Make a sleight of hand check, I'll say. I'm good at that. Oh god. What's this already? You go to do a trick that you've practiced before, like you're going to like flip the knife here or there. You bring it out and it just drop it. It just slips out of your hand. Clink clink, landing on the floor, the stone floor, as all of the Elcar turn to look at you and then look at the knife.
Will waits the appropriate comedic beat and then says, despite that, we are very capable.
Well, job pays on completion, I guess, so it's more your problem if you can't do it, I guess. We know that the Drake lives somewhere to the south, probably in one of the caves. There's very many of them. I could show you, or we could have one of the villagers show you the last place to detect. You might be able to find some tracks, but we really need this taken care of soon. It's already eaten its way through a good chunk of our livestock, and that's what most of our wealth is in. I'm afraid it's going to start hunting people next.
We'll deal with it as soon as we can. Are we sure we could not head out tonight?
Well, you're welcome to it. Although the desert can be dangerous at night, but I'm sure that you're aware of that. You're going after a Drake.
I find I like it better at night than during the day.
Have you all any indication where this thing is resting during the nights?
Like I said, probably what tracks we've seen have led to the south. Probably makes rest in a cave there. It hunts mostly in the evening. I don't think it's been around today, as I haven't heard anything.
Find the cave where it's in. That should be best. It's less likely to try and run away if it knows we know where it's going back to.
That's your business. However you want to handle it doesn't bother me much.
We'll look to Will as to sort of like, well, what do you say?
Will's got a look on her face that is like, could be worth more, but also I don't want to take more money from people that need it. Like, there's like at odds where is like
I don't want to
before
bargain
haggled,
either.
Yeah.
haggled people to like an inch of their life, but in this case, it's like they're at an inch of their life. I don't want to go further than that. So, well, we could certainly go this evening and potentially it will stumble upon us instead of one of the livestock of the village. And if we have to chase it, then it's easier to chase a wounded enemy than it is to find the cave outright. Probably. Will like kind of shrugs. Will has never hunted a drake before.
Uba is going to pipe up because they have a lot of experience as a hunter and says, as unfortunate as it may be for the livestock, perhaps we should wait for it to strike and we can follow it back to its lair. If we kill it here, we won't know if it has any eggs or anything that it left behind.
Will nods that is wise.
Perhaps injure it and out in the open so that it flies back to its lair. Then it's both more vulnerable and we don't have to fight it at full strength.
These,
in an earlier fight.
These drakes
Yeah.
don't have wings.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I
Perhaps
did not know that.
Also, they do get angry at the sight of blood, so maybe following it back to the lair is difficult because it will be enraged and potentially just fight till it dies, and we do need to deal with the lair itself.
That's true. Still, do we
well, if it becomes
want them to
enraged
use-
at
No, you go. You go.
if it becomes enraged at the sight of blood, how does it ever get anything back to its lair?
Will shrugs, knowing very little about drakes beyond where they come from magically. Like, Will is a font of a lot of information, but not this information. Says really, we could. I'll go ahead, Marisa.
I was just going to say, Uba, with very little sense of sensitivity, will say, do you have any livestock that is sick or injured? Perhaps we could tie it up outside the village so that none of the other livestock or people are at risk.
Make a persuasion check.
Sulveran is nodding
I'm
over at
rolling
Uba in
great.
approval. Despite that persuasion check, Sulveran's a fair idea.
He kind of says, "Oh, well, there might be one, but we've already lost so much livestock. I really don't know if anybody would be willing to give up one of their own. You might be
And
able
you
to
have no
do-
elder that would just decree it?
Kind of looks at you and says, "These people own their own livestock. I am an elder, but I'm not a king. I don't. It's not mine to give." It just looks at you strangely, like, "What an odd notion."
Sulveran is looking right back at him with what an odd notion written right across his face, too.
Just like this weird, like, oh, what? He says, I think he like looks at the bartender. He says, "We have some mutton in the back. You could purchase if you're looking for some bait."
Yeah, Uba nods and says, that would work.
This is Will like kind of leans forward a bit and says, "All right, this is what I think we could do. Is buy the haunch of mutton or whatever, use it as bait so that another one of your livestock doesn't get taken this evening, and none of your villagers do. And then while hopefully the drake is taking that bait, we follow it back to its lair. Or we go and find its lair while it's out hunting.
Make an intimidation check, Will. I know you're not trying to do this, but he's just listening to you, and I want you to.
Okay. 19.
Kind of thinks about it for a moment. I suppose I could ask somebody if they might have one piece of livestock they might be willing to. I could pay them, I suppose. So, I'll get you your livestock if you can guarantee that this won't be a waste.
I think Will, despite enjoying Uber's idea, does not agree with that idea, and if that's directed to Will specifically.
I think just to the group, but he's kind of like, you've reinforced in his mind, like, hey, somebody might die. This might be your fault. Like, you don't want to give us a sheep? Fuck you. You didn't say that, but that's what's going through his head. So he's just like proffering this out.
I think Will says, while I do agree that the idea of using live bait is probably better than the mutton, I also can't guarantee that it will be the last livestock that you lose.
This is your business. Whatever you think is best, I would do my best to do.
Well, I think Will looks at Uber and says, well, how sure are you that the livestock will be better bait than the mutton?
Uba thinks for a second, but says, I've never hunted a drake, but I know that animals that are predators tend to enjoy the hunt. So I have a feeling that if this drake is the same, it would enjoy hunting rather than just being handed mutton on a platter.
Will says, all right, then you find us some livestock and we'll do everything we can to deal with the drake when it hunts tonight.
Right, I'll be back momentarily. You're welcome to look around the village. Ask for anything else that you might need. And he will get up and quickly walk out to go to track down a sickly old piece of livestock for you.
Just the ugliest, saddest, oldest sheep in
I'm just gonna
town.
make a D20 roll to see how well he does. Ah, crit. This is perfect. Okay. I didn't mean to roll that as Uba.
The most delicious but frail sheep that you've ever seen.
You look at the sheep and you're like, I want to eat that, man, but it's so old.
All right. He returns after a little bit, carrying a pretty, like, actually fat-looking goat, but you can tell it's pretty old. It's missing one eye. It's got like a very like stupid look to it. Like it just looks a little dumb. Not at all like healthy looking goat. He
This
says
thing could be a bartender in some places.
it's got like a bad back leg. He like he says, well, I found you a goat. Do with it what you will. It's taken care of. The goat.
Will nods
And then
says,
farts.
Great.
Smells awful.
Important information, really.
Thanks.
It-
So we take the goat out of the village. I don't know that we necessarily need to tie it up. I'm not sure how well it would evade the drake at all. But
As you say that, it's like walking around and like bumps into a table.
and then the drake will take the goat back to its lair, and we follow the drake, and then deal with the lair at the same time.
Uba nods and says, we'll need to try and be stealthy. We want the drake to feel comfortable enough that it goes back to its lair instead of potentially attacking us. So we're going to have
I
to
should-
follow it at a distance.
Is there
I
any
should
way we
warn
can
you,
ensure we don't
I-
lose sight?
Uba
How-
thinks for a second. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I should warn you all ahead of time. I'm terrible at being quiet. This is not in my wheelhouse at all.
Uba says,
Agreed.
fortunately, I have been working on some magic that helps improve stealth, and I believe I have a spell that would do the trick. Uba has passed without a trace.
I have a -1 and disadvantage on stealth, so it's
I mean, it's
It's gonna
still
be-
+9.
Hey, you'll get a
overall.
+9,
Like,
so not the worst.
Yeah.
yeah.
Better than
Pretty
nothing.
bad with the spell, but you know, gonna pale in comparison to the +17s and whatever else everybody's got.
I'm not proficient in stealth.
Uh,
The +20 Alveron will be rolling at.
yeah.
Calla appears and rolls a +26 or some nonsense. Well, we'd best get to it, I think. We'll deal with following the Drake when we have to. If it comes down to it and we have to deal with it outside of the village, at least that stops the threat for now, and we can go out and look for the lair itself tomorrow.
So, Uba, since this is your plan, why don't you go ahead and roll me a survival check just to make the goat seem enticing, you know, put it in a good spot.
Okay.
I will.
Okay.
Can I give them advantage as well?
Sure, from your
And can I, by pointing out, like my understanding of the drakes from the Arcana check and things, like they don't fly, so they're going to try and be a little bit stealthy coming up to it, like the best place to give Bardic Inspiration. I know I don't have to ask if I can give Bardic Inspiration, but I'd like to explain it.
Let's go.
So I'm going to roll survival with advantage.
And Bardic Inspiration.
Okay. So here's the survivals. This one.
We're at
There's
an
two.
18 at the moment. The D6, I think.
D8.
D8 now.
Okay, so I roll a d8.
Oh,
That's a
22.
yeah.
Yeah, you go. You find a good spot outside the village a little bit, and not a complete clearing. There's some cover that you know the Drake could stealth up on, some bushes here and there, but the goat is fairly open, and you kind of tie it up with a very long rope. Get from the bar or wherever else, and the goat is just eating, standing on one leg.
Can I also add that since Ubo was rolling to make it more enticing, that they've borrowed spices from the bar and sprinkled spices on top of the goat?
Spice the goat.
You put fucking the Imris equivalent of Tabasco on this
Yeah,
goat.
it's just like pouring it on the goat.
Drake gets
Stands
near
back and says,
starts sneezing.
"Perfect."
Yeah. You I think maybe with that in mind, you give it like a little nick somewhere, maybe on like the ear or something, so there's just like a little bit of blood. And you have it all set up. So you guys want to like be stealth nearby?
Hospital trace lasts for an hour, right? Marisa?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does. So I'm not sure. Is the plan to just like see the Drake take the goat and then immediately follow it? Because if that's the case, Ubo could probably cast it.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a relatively flat, well, not flat, but like it's a desert, so there's not an enormous amount of cover for it to get lost in. So we can be some distance back, and then stealth after it, because it will
Okay,
be
so-
dragging a goat.
So Ubo will wait to cast Pass Without a Trace until we actually start moving, because we'll probably be stealthier, just kind of
Yeah, or
standing there.
even just when we see it, like come for the goat, Because if
I
it
will-
comes for the goat and then does like a scan of like,
Right. I will remind, just because it hasn't come up very much, that Hunter's Mark does help you track as well. If you wanted to try to Hunter's Mark it, it would give you advantage on
you
perception and survival checks to find that creature.
you also
Oh,
have
yeah,
to be
sure.
very
Goat.
close to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
should
you
I
would have
Hunter's
to
Mark
get
the goat or the
closer.
drake?
You could Hunter's Mark a
Okay.
goat.
Yeah,
Hmm.
my Hunter's
Smart.
Mark.
Not a bad plan, actually.
How long does
My
Hunter's Mark last for
Hunter's-
now?
It's only an hour, so I can cast it. It's a 90-foot distance, so I could cast it like as soon as the drake grabs it, and then also cast Pass Without a Trace, and we could start moving after the goat.
Are they both Oh wait, you waived the concentration on Hunter's Mark, right?
Correct. Well, they
Okay.
wouldn't have passed without a trace up yet, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, Uba will wait to do any magic until we actually see the drake.
Uba, why don't you roll me a stealth check since you're going to be a little bit closer
Okay.
than everybody else. 17, 24. All right, excellent.
Good
You
God.
get a good
Yay.
spot nearby, just perfect Hunter's Mark range. And you all wait. Gather around, get ready. Okay. You have a pretty good plan, so you're kind of waiting. A couple hours pass by. Some of you maybe like start to flag. You've been up all day at this point. The two exhausted characters feeling pretty tired. But as the third hour that you're kind of sitting waiting starts to draw for a close, we'll say Uba, you see kind of approaching very stealthily. Your the Rage Drake, kind of lumbering up, almost cat-like, waiting as the goat kind of scratches the ground. In a sudden flash, the Drake charges and has the goat's neck in its mouth and is tugging on it to break the rope free.
Okay, so it. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say this would be a good point to do Hunter's Mark. So it was gonna cast Hunter's Mark on. I guess it would make more sense to cast it on the actual Drake instead of the goat. So they're gonna cast it on the goat.
Okay.
Or on the
On the
Drake, sorry.
It would make more sense to do this, so I'm going to do the opposite.
That's,
Yeah,
that's
not
perfectly
what I said.
acceptable logic for Uba.
You
It really is.
very quickly cast Hunter's Mark on the Drake as it rips the goat up, and it's probably good that you did this because you're not sure how much how long the goat's going to be able to take the bite from this Rage Drake as it crushes, seems to almost crush the goat's neck in one swoop as it goes. It starts kicking wildly in the air before the Drake starts to pounce off, retreating back wherever it came from.
So it's going to need a content warning.
It is, yes, it is. It is running far quicker than any of you could, as it bounds away, at the speed of like a galloping horse.
Okay. I think it would probably still be a good idea to cast Pass Without a Trace, even though it's probably really ahead of us and we're going to be tracking more than right behind it. But Uba's going to cast Pass Without a Trace on everyone.
Okay. Pass without a trace real quick. As you begin to track it, why don't I get everybody to make me a stealth check?
Sulveran
Just a,
sighs very deeply as he realizes.
just a 14.
Oh, I hit. Oh, yeah.
You have
Okay, I did
disadvantage
right.
because of exhaustion. Sulveran.
Got it. So
Oh, so-
21.
Should also roll again.
With pass without a trace. Thanks, Uber.
Probably not gonna roll. Oh, wow. Alveron's not doing that.
I mean, that's still a 21.
Still 21, but he did critical fail. Alveron can't see very well in the dark. It's like pitch black out here. There's not even any torchlight. He's used to like
It's night.
Being
Oh, yeah.
on decks of ships and stuff like that, where there's usually sunlight, or in cities where there's the torches, windows, that kind of thing.
Does Sulveran notice how much difficulty Alveron is having with
he's
moving through the dark?
He's stumbling around and like just making tons of noise. Like every once in a while you guys will pass through like a bit of brush, and it's immediately like just like snapping, stepping on like every bit of dry grass there seems to be nearby.
Can Sulveran notice this? And
yeah, you notice it.
Okay, so if he notices this, he is going to reach out to him, and he is going to put a hand on his shoulder, and he's actually going to look at everyone else. Is anybody else having difficulty? And he gestures at the moon, or lack thereof.
Will can't see you gesturing at the moon.
He is going to cast Eyes of Night on the people that do not have dark vision in the party.
Okay. How long does that last?
It's 300 feet. It's 1 hour.
Okay. So as you do this, everyone, Will and Alveron anyway. I don't think Gathite.
Does it have a maximum number of people?
Mm-mm. The willing creatures I can see.
Because it's better night vision anyway. Like
it's up to your wisdom mod.
Yeah, so that's 5.
5. So everybody, you can hit everybody.
You should just pick all of us because it's better dark vision mechanically.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Anybody else will have.
It's not going to be better than what Uba has. It's not going to be the 300 feet.
Okay.
That's just insane. Nothing else gives you 300 feet in the game. Why should that? But everybody will still have dark vision. Everybody will still have dark vision, which is good because you've got more people without it than normal, at least for my parties.
And if only somebody had offered night vision goggles like last session and just been completely disrespected by the entire party over there.
Yeah, Sulveran is going to mutter an unusually respectful prayer in Gathite, and it's actually it's 2 syl, and it's rather polite, and everybody's eyes are going to briefly glow with that silver of the moon before fading.
I'm just imagining Sulveran giving an impolite prayer to Syl.
All of his prayers to Mordain at this point have been very
like, hey bro, help me out, bro.
What's up, bro? I need some help.
Oh my god. Right. With renewed sight, and like I said, even though Alveron is stumbling around and making a lot of noise, it is all being dampened by Pass Without a Trace, and everyone else is being very stealthy. Well, everyone else is being fairly stealthy, thanks to Pass Without a Trace. I think maybe some of you are not trying as hard as you could be because you're very confident in Uba's abilities. You all continue to try to head in the direction that Uba is leading you. And Uba, if I could get you to make me a survival check, this one with advantage because you have 100 mark on, as you're tracking down the Drake. 10, 11, 13, 17. You totally crush it. You're following the occasional blood splatter from presumably from the goat, as well as just the footprints from wherever its claws are kind of sinking into the sands or the dirt. And you're following it for quite some time. but about probably it's getting near the end of the hour. Maybe it takes about 50 minutes or so. So you've got maybe 10 minutes of the dark vision and that's without a trace left. You all come to the entrance of a cave. It's kind of ducked into a rocky hillside. It seems somewhat natural, maybe a little bit dug out as you're approaching it. But it's clearly no light from inside. You all have dark vision, but you can tell that there's some moonlight out here, and whatever is in there, it would be pitch black, if not for Sulveran's aid in this matter.
So then we don't have access to this still blessing for much longer, do we?
No, I did think that after that expired, I might call upon Parador. Startle the Drake a bit.
It's probably best if we try and deal with it while some of us, and Will Justice at Alveron and herself, can actually see anything.
Right. That would be nice.
Go ahead.
Medea says, I can make some light if we need one.
Just the risk of something dampening the light is worse. I'm just suggesting we don't necessarily have the luxury of waiting around and making a plan. We should just go and deal with this Drake.
Before we do, Uba is going to look at Sulveran and say, I think I have a plan, but I don't think you're going to like it. And Uba pulls out their dagger and says, I remember when we were learning about this Drake, they said it became
Young
frenzied at the
warriors.
sight of blood. And Uba kind of like twirls their dagger and says, what if we go for its eyes, or I do, and then we can go in with light, as it won't see it. And then like smiles and is like, what do you think?
Sulveran just
Can't-
looks at Will.
It's always a good idea to go for the enemy's eyes. That's not a... Why did you think this was a bad idea, Ruba? Stab it in the eyes. That's a good plan.
Stabbing
you
it
are
in
going-
the eyes does sound like a good idea.
If you are going to go ahead and do such a thing, with their blessing, he is going to lean over and back to his usual very colloquial terms. He's, watch over this one, please. And he is going to just smack Uba on the back. A little harder than he should, not thinking about how much smaller Uba is, to give them guidance. And he is also going to give them his vigilant blessing to give advantage on initiative rolls, just in case they get startled.
Cool.
We should hurry into the cave. is
Mhm.
my point. And Uber, if we're ever fighting a dragon and you find yourself in a position to stab it in the eyes, just do it. Don't worry
Uba
about
gives-
whether or not Sulveran will be happy with it.
Uba gives you a big thumbs up and then starts walking into the cave.
You've got
Alright.
a minute on that guidance, so.
Bardic Inspiration lasts forever. I'm also going to inspire you with my telling you that it's okay to stab something in the eye.
It just
Uba
Uba.
feels inspired.
Uba is going in like ahead of everybody else, or
No, I think we're all going in, but
Yeah.
also
Uba
I
is
will
ahead.
I guess I'll just use a base use of Bardic Inspiration instead of splitting it to two people because of the sound of playing an instrument. This feels so inefficient. Anyway.
Sulveran is going to, as they're walking in, Sulveran is going to be asking Medea, when you said you could make light, do you mean to illuminate the whole place or the creature?
I could make enough that everyone around us could see roughly 40 feet out somewhere. Carry an object. If you really need light, I could spread the wings from my back. Hold
Uba,
light everywhere.
as you're all walking up, they're having a conversation behind you, but you can see, thanks to the 120 feet of dark vision that you granted by Sulveran, you can see deeper into the cave. The Rage Drake is hungrily feasting on the goat that you have sacrificed as bait, just ripping it in shreds.
I think. How far is Uba ahead of everyone else?
It's up to you guys. I kind of figured like, I don't know, maybe 10 feet or so, 15 feet.
Yeah, not very
Okay.
far.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, Uba's going to like not actually say anything, but try and gesture like to indicate like we should sneak up on the Drake while it's distracted. So I think they'll probably do some hand signals at everyone.
Okay.
Yes. Will hand signals back agreement, but with a better hand signal. Will has come up with a better hand signal immediately to be like, I agree with you, Uber. Like, Will invented ASL.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess we're gonna sneak up on the Drake while it's distracted.
Yeah.
I'm sure this won't go badly at all.
Let's get another stat of stealth roll.
See what I can do with
Still with passive
disadvantage.
trace.
You said everyone's
18.
doing stealth?
Yeah.
Is it-
Yeah, because they're all not far enough back that it's like
Yeah, we're all stealthing up, right?
separate thing.
Well, Uber, look, Will just rolled a 32.
I mean, yeah, an
You
18
agree with
isn't
me?
the worst.
That's
I
right.
did
The problem is the
you
still a
rolled a
failure,
1
though.
though, yeah.
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 A 2 would have been better.
Yeah, 2, you still would have rolled 19. And you could have used your Bardic Inspiration.
Oh, can I do my Bardic Inspiration? No.
Don't
Wait.
use it on him.
You can use your
Wait, are we-
you have inspiration. You could use that
Oh.
if you wanted to,
Oh, I can. So I roll
because
a
that
D8.
would give you a reroll. Your
Oh, okay.
inspiration. The Bardic Inspiration is
okay.
not going to matter because you rolled a 1.
Okay, so let me roll another stealth check because that was terrible.
God.
Look, Uber, you're destined to
All
die.
right.
We will
Uba
mourn
tripped
you.
over a rock
enjoy your
twice
next
in the
character.
same
Boy.
rock.
All right, I've moved you to the
You
map.
kick the rock
Uba,
forward. That's funny.
you move up to about here, as there's a bit of a it's not like a deep hole going on forever, but there's like a gap where there's probably maybe a 30-foot drop. So you're kind of stealthing up next to this. You maybe put your hand on one of these I always forget mites or tights, one of these stalags, and it immediately crumples forward as the rocks tumble in a heap at the bottom. The Rage Drake immediately turns back to look at you, and you two lock eyes. You have utterly failed to delve up to it.
And this is why I gave you
Everyone
advantage on
else did.
initiative.
Everyone else did pretty well, and I probably would have given it to you had you not rolled 2 1s in a row.
Oops.
You convinced Uber to use inspiration and then use that as a justification for why you did this. That's very funny.
So many failed rolls.
Should we
here.
do a break before we watch Uber die?
Yeah,
Or-
this is a good spot. Let's go ahead and take a quick break.
Ah.
All right, going to say.
I feel
10
like
minutes.
Mordain has spoken at this juncture.
Mordain said fuck you to Uba.
All right, and we're back. Let's hop straight to it. Get some initiatives
Oh, boy.
going. Drake.
There's
Respectable.
something unnecessarily aggressive about using the Ort voice for this.
Yes. So wait, I have advantage on initiative, right? You said.
You do.
You do, and I think it
Hooray!
is set up.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. There you go. I guess I should
It
roll
really-
for Alveron.
This game makes me feel like I have bad initiative, but it's +3, and I just
Yeah.
always roll
You just
terribly.
rolled low historically.
Like every single time.
I think mine just keeps my character sheet just keeps disconnecting. So, oh, there it is. Wow, hey, that's like the best I've rolled in this game.
Not bad. All right. Uba, it's your turn first. So this is a gap here. It's only about 5 feet, so you can cross it easily if you need to.
Okay.
It's a quick
So if
jump.
that's the case, I think that Uba is just not gonna try their luck, and they're gonna use their longbow. I think that's probably the easiest. Yeah.
That does hit. And you would get hunter's marked because it's hunter's marked.
Yeah. So let me just check this real quick. Yeah, D6. Okay. 2. Hooray.
Well, at least you hit it one time.
Yeah,
12. All right.
I'm genuinely surprised.
You shoot an arrow, which kind of like hits it in the shoulder. It doesn't go very deep, but it like looks down and growls at you. However, it's Alveron's turn. Before that, Alveron's going to.
I just realized I think I messed up. I'll do it next turn, but since I can attack twice now, would I have been able to hit it twice with the...
Yeah, you can make 2 bow attacks. You can go ahead and do that now.
You sure?
Yeah, nothing important has happened. We haven't had a level
Okay.
5 combat yet.
What a horrible like choice that would be to be like, no, you passed the turn is over.
Doesn't matter anyways, because the second shot glances off of its scales.
Oh.
Isn't able to
Great.
quite get a
Well-
good piercing blow.
Well, we learned it's AC.
Yeah, you
first,
figured
right?
out it's
That's
AC.
important.
The Alveron has a short bow. Alveron will pull out their short bow. Taking a cue from Uba. I think 1 shot. No sneak attack because nobody's over there. They're not in melee.
The goat's our ally. Is it alive?
No, it's not. It's been going at this
It's
goat for a little bit before you got here. The goat's pretty dead.
The goat is a goat jam now.
Hitting like 6 points. What's this thing now? The second arrow sticking out of it. What? He will get into this corner here. Doesn't want to be in view. Trust you guys to handle it. The Drake at this point is going to. Okay, it's going to use its bonus action to rage. Okay, well, not going to be a good spot, but it's going to bound over to here, but then make a pounce on Uba. Get to here.
Uh-oh.
So it needs to back roll. hitting.
Wait,
It's just
wait,
the
wait,
one.
wait,
It's just
wait,
the
wait, wait.
one. Hold on. Go ahead.
I have to remember if it has to be able to understand me for cutting words. I don't think it does. It just has to not be able to hit. So I will cutting words it.
It's just the 10, not the 8. I'll edit the things.
So
Yeah, so Will kind of shouts as it pounces at you. It's like, Uber, duck! And even though you don't have time to, it's trying to make the Drake think that you're going to duck. Is that
The Drake
thanks,
thinks that
thanks,
Uba is
Queen.
in fact a duck, and it does not like duck, so it pulls its attack.
So 14 to hit instead of 20.
So that actually misses, I believe. Tracy? Yeah, that misses.
That's the most help
How
I'm
do
going to be
you-
this whole combat.
Sorry, how do you distract it again?
I distracted it by shouting at Uber to tell Uber to duck. Even though Uber didn't duck, to just like make it think slightly for a second about where Uber would be.
Okay. You hear a duck, and Yuba's like, huh? And then it kind of like goes to claw you as it's landing. But as it hears this, it notices more targets and misses.
cool.
Right.
So I don't take any damage.
No, you don't take any damage. It just misses you. That's its turn because it had to jump across. Sulveran.
Sulveran is going to regret that he was in such a rush earlier to simply help Uba and didn't consider the rest of the party. And so he is going to cast Aid. And he is targeting Uba. He's targeting Will. And he's going to look at Medea, look at himself, and then he's going to look at Alveron, and he's going to just shrug kind of apologetically at Medea and cast it on Alveron.
I feel like using it on Will might be a waste. If it's next to Will, we lost the fight already. That's how every fight will work. But I
Yeah.
appreciate it. It's 5 to max, right?
Yeah, it's 5 to.
Yeah, I was just like, click on the thing.
Yeah, it's just being a little slow.
Oh, okay.
Everything for it is very slow right now. I don't even
goes.
see it.
5. And that was on who? Alveron?
The three of us that are not Medea and Sulveran.
Okay.
It's tight quarters. It's one of those chances where Will might actually get into the thick of things. And then he is going to go ahead and no, has it been hit?
Yes. Twice. There's 2 arrows that have kind of probably the arrows have broken off as it ran towards you, but the wounds are still there.
Okay. Let's see if this one goes through. He is going to maybe. Let's see.
Yep. Wisdom.
Yeah, that's
save.
a wisdom save. Yeah. So let me know, and I'll describe it if it hits.
Failure.
All right. Yeah. So Sulveran is going to just gesture into the sky, and finally, I think this is the first chance he's actually gotten this one to work. A spectral bird is just going to sweep down, coming for the Drake's eyeballs, even though it can't really hit the eyeballs.
Right, yeah. Clawing down, it dives in to try to scratch out the eyes. The creature like tries to fight it off, but the necrotic damage still sinks into its flesh. All right. Any movement? No?
I think Charlie's muted.
Maybe. Medea.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
It's going to
Yeah.
lumber forward, and they're going to hold out their spear as an enormous amount of static electricity begins to gather up all around it. I'm going to bonus action Thunderous Smite.
Okay.
And then I'm going to remember that. And then I'm going to make 2 attacks with my spear. Should just be fine. Okay. Does that hit?
Yeah. You know its AC is
And
17 already.
and then I'm going to drop a 2nd level smite. So I will add 3d8 to that. So that's 12 plus 11 plus 10, and then I'm going to make my 2nd attack, and this thing needs to make a strength saving throw.
Alright, give me 1 second. Okay, so it takes the full thunder. You don't feel like your spear is affecting it as much as it could. And you notice now, all of you, that the arrows don't seem to have done quite as much damage as it first appeared. So the 3-8 is also regular smite, is that right?
Yeah, it's radiant, yeah.
Great.
And then it needs to make the strength saving throw.
Yeah, it's going to crush it.
Fails. It is
not
knocked 10 feet back.
it
and
has
is prone.
advantage.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because it's
Oh,
raging, right?
I'm going to roll the same thing twice.
Still fail. As it's knocked 10 feet back and prone.
It's back.
And then I'm going to walk forward and make a 2nd attack.
How deep is this precipice again?
And then
It's
I'm
not
going
very,
to
it's like
add
40 feet or so.
And then I'm going to add a second level smite, just to push this thing in as hard as I can. So I'll add an additional 3d8. Terrible rolls on these 3d8s. Oh wait, that's with advantage because
Yeah. 'cause
roll
it's
again,
prone.
just in case it's a nat. Same one. No.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. And that's my turn.
All right, Will. So you've just hit it several times, and you can almost see the magic like feeding into this creature. But it kind of shakes its head. It's looking wounded, but it's not bloodied yet, despite the hammering you've just given it. It actually looks angry as it kind of snarls at you, getting ready to stand up.
Will pulls out the instrument of power, and with what type of action is it to change it to a different instrument?
Oh, you could just do it. That's more of a flavor thing.
All right. Then should probably take even a step further back because there's no point in her being closer. She pulls it out and like she spins the hurdy-gurdy and it becomes that giant Gathite shield, and she just slams like the hilt of. It's probably not even that. She's probably got a piece of metal on like her coat arm, and she just slams that onto the side of it, and it does this like enormous ringing gong sound, and then she just like adds a high keening pitch to it, and I'll give Bardic Inspiration to Medea and Alveron because Uber has one already. Then, as a bonus action, I'll start composing a letter in my head. It's not related to what's happening. Like, I don't have anything else to do. Nobody's injured, right?
No, because you blocked Uba from being hit. So who got
Yeah,
Alveron
so-
and what was the second person?
Alveron and Medea and Uber should still have a Bardic Inspiration, if
Okay,
I
cool.
remember correctly.
Or Alveron has it. All right. Would you like to move?
Yeah, I moved 5 feet backwards, and then I'm just
Okay.
standing there watching.
Right. Back around to Uba. Drake is kind of hanging in between these two sides, getting ready to stand back up. But it's your turn before it goes.
Okay. So Uba's just gonna step forward, and I guess even with like the kind of gully between them, they'd still be able to hit
Yeah.
the Drake. Okay. So Uba's going to attack twice with the emerald dagger.
It's not because I feel like I've explained this poorly. It's not a straight drop. It's more like but it
A dip.
leaped across just to because that way it doesn't have to go all the way down.
Oh, okay, I got it. All right, so
It's more of
let
like
me roll
a
these.
bull
Then-
thing situation. So you guys are kind of in the bull at the moment.
It's prone, so you have advantage, but it doesn't
Well, it
matter.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That was one. Okay, so it's
Plus
doing that,
Hunter's Mark.
and then Hunter's Mark and Colossus Slayer, I think.
Correct. So
Yes.
what's Hunter? Is Colossus Slayer a
D-
D8?
Yeah.
All right,
Plus
so
there's D8.
2d8, 2d. So sorry, just do 3d8 and 3d6
Okay.
for the total amounts of damage.
Hooray!
Thankfully, this is
We
all
are-
weapon damage, so it's all being resisted.
We are all incredible. Well, we have an incredible lineup against specifically one big raging creature.
30. All right.
But then not
With
much
that, it is looking bloodied as you
Hooray.
just dove in and like it's probably like upside down, so you just stab down into its belly as like blood squirts out.
Beat
All right.
its ass.
Alveron is then going to say, well, shit, I think you guys got this. I'm just going to shoot again with a short bow. It's not a great spot for him to be standing.
The disadvantage because it's prone, right?
Yes. All right, so his shot glances off. He'll scooch forward, but doesn't want to get too close since it's already pretty cramped. The Drake is going to stand up at this point. Feeling very annoyed. Okay, going to make a claw attack against Medea to start things off. This stuff, so I kind of need to do this at all. Well, that hits.
Jesus. Okay. Does 16 down to
I was like,
29?
should I cutting words this? And then clicked back and saw that was not necessary.
Did that do that correctly? No, it didn't. So you're actually going to take another d6 from Brutal Critical.
Okay.
So it's actually
So-
21 points of
Got it.
damage.
Okay. And put it in.
All right. So it just rakes across you. Going to make a bite attack against Uba. Hitting. Yes. Use your AC.
Ouch.
And then I need you to make me an athletics test. Athletics check. Opposed.
Let's check.
Number to beat is a 24. All right.
Ah.
So as it gets gets you in its grip, it like is trying to grapple onto you with its mouth and hold you down. So you are currently grappled. So you're restrained, although it can't use its bite attack on anybody else at the moment. It's going to make a second claw attack against Medea. 22, hitting you for 10 points of damage.
Medea is well past bloodied by now.
All right. Sulveran, your party is beating this thing up, but now that it's in the thick of things in melee where it wants to be, it is also doing quite a bit of damage to your two, at the moment, frontliners. Medea is looking quite wounded, and Uba is struggling in its mouth, trying to break free, but straining against the strength of its jaws.
Alright. So yeah, Sulveran is going to, let's see, double check something real fast here. Yeah, so Sulveran is going to step forward and get the. Oh no, he doesn't have to. I don't have to. I need to rewrite the spell so I don't have to think about distances ever. He is doing his Twilight Sanctuary, so as he rolls out his shoulders, Twilight sphere emanates from him, and everybody takes 1d6 plus my cleric level if I could roll.
Plus 5.
10 hit points. I'm reloading because once more I cannot roll.
Working fine for everybody else, right? I'm just make sure it's not mine.
It's been a weird thing with certain apps for me today. I don't know if I need to reinstall Chrome or what, but it didn't start until like 20 minutes before the game started, so. Somebody else could roll a 1d6, and then we could
I'll
add
do it.
5 to that.
I have your back as the other support.
6.
There we go. Hey! See, good job. So everybody take 11 temp hit points.
Good. Everyone is
Literally
blanketed
54 hit points.
by this sort of protective energy that radiates out from Sulveran.
And since that's a feature, not a spell, I could still cast the spell, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Assuming you have the action come.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm just thinking about what things are a possibility in the future. It's not a right now sort of
Healing
thing.
word, for instance.
Yeah. Yeah, my bonus actions. Yeah. He is going to just go ahead and cast Healing Word. Actually, everybody's hit, right? I mean,
just the 2 in front.
Okay. Is Uba looking bloodied? Alright, then he's going to just cast a Healing Word on Medea.
Uba only took the 1.
You said we got like 11 temporary hit points,
Temporary
right?
hit points, yeah.
Okay.
Did that time it work?
I'm not seeing it. There it is.
Okay.
It's just being slow, I think. Alright. Medea, you heal 9 points of damage from Healing Word.
Thank you.
Yeah, and he's moving up. I don't know if you can move my token, but he is moving up about 5 feet.
So out of the cave or towards the creature?
Towards the creature.
Okay. You here, I guess.
Yeah. I can see it. I just can't do any of it.
No problem. Medea. You've just been walloped. Uba next to you is being grappled.
Medea is going to hold out their spear and point it at the creature, and in a sort of like a low, angry voice is just going to say, "Drop it." And I'm going to use bonus action for Vow of Enmity.
Okay.
Let me see where that is.
Uba's a cute toy it wasn't supposed to play with yet.
And then I'm going to drop 2 more Divine Smites on this thing at first level. So it's going to take 19 plus 4d8. So plus 17.
Doesn't actually take that much, but yeah. Okay. Once again, the radiant energy that bursting out seems to be doing more damage than your spear hits. Even though normally you think the opposite would be true, or well, be closer anyways.
And Medea is going to look at.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and then Medea is going to look to Uba and say, "Sorry." As they're like swinging at the thing, knowing that Uba's in this thing's mouth.
Yes, the creature is looking very wounded at this point, but it seems to just be making it angrier as now its blood is kind of trickling out from all these wounds as it snarls with Uba in its mouth. But it's Will's turn.
Did anyone use Bardic Inspiration? No, right?
No, nobody needed it yet.
Great. Then Will begins that low Gathite hum that is normally her healing word, and using like now that she's kind of shifted how that magic works, the hum like gets another magical layer to the top of it, and as she points at Uber, a healing word will also hit Medea. Me.
Very
That's gonna
polite.
take a while. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. So let's see if this works.
So this is
And
a
if I set this up
modified
correctly.
healing word that Will has,
Yes.
halfway between
Fine.
healing word and mass healing word.
Yeah. So it costed a second level spell slot to hit 2 people, and they both heal for 7.
You both heal back 7 hit points. So Uba's looking pretty okay now, actually. Not that bad. Medea as well isn't that injured anymore.
I'm trying to remember things that you can do with an action.
Attack had a cast a spell. I don't know. Well,
I'll
you
vicious
can't cast a
mockery
spell.
this thing.
Yeah, you could vicious mockery.
Right. All right. Yeah. I'll say to this dragon that even though you're so big, you're still gonna die to my stronger comrade. I guess. Will's not a good vicious mockery person, but it does roll good for the damage.
Right. It seems, for whatever reason, to
be real offended.
Affect it more so than the blades that you've been slinging at it. And arrows.
The truest insult.
It needs to make a save. Hold on.
Do you think this has
just
major
gonna give it to you.
insecurities? Like that's why it's raging.
17.
No.
Just barely succeeded. It's got a -2 as well.
-2, but proficient. Stupid Drakes. Hate that.
Oh no! It's got a +1. Sorry, I was looking at charisma with save. So it just barely manages to shake off in the psychic effect. That does nothing then. Yeah. Right. Uba, you are within this creature's maw.
Can I still attack it, or am I?
You can. You'll be at disadvantage.
Okay.
Because you are.
So, alright, I'm gonna try and attack it twice with the Emerald Dagger again. So here is. Let's see. So this is the first roll, we'll say. So with disadvantage, that's 21.
Okay. Go ahead.
And then let me do the second one.
You can control click to roll with disadvantage.
Good to know. I will do that in the future. Okay, so the first one hits. The second one doesn't. So let me add the D6 and the D8 here.
Just roll 3 consecutive 4s.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened there.
Okay.
Okay, so that's math. 20?
Yep.
20 damage?
But it shakes out different because they're. Actually, no, it would be from one. Okay. You're like, you kind of like bring your dagger up and manage to catch it in the mouth once, but then it like pushes down a little bit, and you're like flailing against it after that, unable to get a solid blow in as your kind of dagger scrabbles against its scales. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess that's all I can do.
Yeah, because you
Because I can't move.
move. You don't really have bonus action, you could do. Yeah, no, let's see. Done. All right. Alveron is going to say, "Hold on, Uba. I'm going to help you." Not his voice at all, but he's going to misty step behind the creature. Uba,
Teleports behind you.
pulling out his rapier to take a stab. Hitting just barely. So we're gonna get sneak attack because it's got a bunch of. Oh, this one. That's right. 3d6 here.
Yeah, level 5, 3d6.
Yeah. We got set up somewhere. Oh. He stabs into it and like getting a deep wound. But again, it's just like fighting through all of the pain. The blood is just frenzying it. It's like on its last legs, but not willing to concede. And it's its turn. So, Uba, I need you to make me a Constitution saving throw.
Going to swallow that.
I hope not.
It's only horse-sized.
Okay, as it's
Ubo would
grappling
hate that even
you,
more.
A horse could eat.
as it's grappling you in your mouth, it bites down. You're going to take 18 points of damage, and you are
Ow.
stunned until the end of its next turn.
Oh.
Ooh.
As
Oh my god, it's got monk levels.
poisonous, or like stunning venom courses into you as it's like bearing down with your jaw, with its jaws on you. That replaces its bite attack. It's then going to, knowing that it's got you, make a swipe at Medea. Its claw. Missing, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
missing.
definitely.
And then swinging around to hit Alveron. Or try to, anyways. Probably succeeding. Yeah,
I will,
Alveron takes 12.
I will cutting words.
All right. Go ahead.
I will use my last Bardic Inspiration and just
Make the roll.
call it to just die already, I guess.
Die already, I guess.
Watch D8. Yeah, Will's like, I don't know. It's not really my wheelhouse to insult people.
Does Will need like
Okay, that is enough.
talk or like a hug?
No, Will knows that it can't understand her really, so it's like all she'd
All the
be
magic.
putting more effort at it
Yeah.
if like it could understand.
All right. You cutting words and it momentarily distracted enough that what would have been a big hit on Alveron's chest instead becomes a quick dodge out of the way.
Would have negated the Twilight Cleric thing.
All right, Sulveran, it's your turn.
Sulveran is standing there, and he's been examining his shield for the last couple of seconds. I'm assuming Will's in the background and might have noticed this. But he had glanced back at that shield that Will had been playing that note on, and he is going to run his fingers over his shield to call on its power before he casts his guiding bolt. And I don't know, do we ever come up with do I just hit shift or do I hit control on that one? For the
For
feat.
advantage?
Andrew, it's advantage, right? For the shield's saving throw?
Well, it's been so long now. I'll check what it was. You're talking about your shield's ability, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked. Here it is. Yeah, so you take 1 death save in exchange for making the enemy vulnerable to the attack.
All right, yeah, and so,
You take 1 ongoing, so you have 1 failed until your next long rest.
yeah, that's fair. So question,
Yes.
am I able, since Uba is like grappled and held down, am I able to step briefly into Uba's space to do a melee spell or spell attack, or do I need to do a distance one?
No, there's a spot. Like I said, it's you could certainly move down into a spot where you can hit it melee.
All right.
Fictionally, yeah, we'll say you're kind of standing in the same space as Uba.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
In
like here, stuff gets there.
Yeah. So in that case, he is going to kind of step like over Uba, like trying to draw this creature's attention, and he is going to reach out for it and do his best to inflict some wounds. Sorry, I clicked it, but we'll think about it.
Yeah, that hits. So it actually takes 36 points of damage from this. Were you just casting it at first level, or did you want to upcast it?
Nope, just casting it at first
Okay.
level.
3D
Describe
times
its
that.
death.
Is that
And if that was a nat 20, that would have been 72 necrotic damage.
All right, so describing its death.
Yeah,
what you said?
from that 36, it takes that full on, it dies. As opposed to all of this normal ass damage most of you have been dealing, which has been reduced by half this whole time.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been putting radiant.
Yes,
I like
Medea
that you
has done
asked
a
if
lot
I
of
was going to
damage.
upcast it.
I just want to double check. I want to see how much it dies by.
Yeah. So Sulveran is just going to step his way over Uba, and just I'm talking. He
It
just
had 2 hit
backhand.
points, just for everybody at home.
It had 2 hit points.
It had 2 hit points left after I thought Alveron was going to kill it.
Nice. Yeah. He is just going to backhand it in the snout, and he's going to repeat Medea's drop it.
Okay. As you backhand the creature, necrotic energy just like going up into its brain, it releases its grip on Uba, who it kind of just falls to the ground, still stunned, like, and it crumples down, dead in this depression in the ground in its lair. We are out of combat.
Sulveran is just going to like reach down and pull Uba upright and kind of like do a much gentler slap to wake them up.
Okay. Uba, you immediately awaken after being slightly slapped on the face.
Uba's going to grumble a bit at the fact that they were woken up by getting slapped, but I think they're going to kind of like not slink off, but they're definitely pretty upset about what happened, and they're going to do cure wounds on themselves.
I will just what do you call it? If that's not enough to heal you fully, I'll lay on hands you back to full. Yeah. How much do you need?
Definitely not enough.
How much do you need?
Let me see. Do the temporary and max hit points that we got from Sulveran, are they still there, or did they go away after combat?
They go away.
Okay.
The temporary goes away. The max stays for however long it gives you. I think it's an hour.
Okay. If
Yeah.
that's the case, I need 11.
Yeah, you can get 11 back.
Thank you. Uba's even more offended that their healing spell sucked.
Yeah, your max hit points stay for 8 hours. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Yeah. Level 9-8 is like one of the actual valid upcasts.
Yeah.
You get like 40 max hit points.
And then I'll just bring myself back to full lay on hands as well.
Yeah, you
Well-
take a moment and you go rest up, heal yourselves.
Will, while the healing is happening, seeing that Uber is taken care of by being slapped, Will like makes a note of like that's probably there's nicer ways to do that, I guess, but we'll go stand next to Alveron and look into this cave that Will has not seen at all.
Suppose there's any treasure in here, like we were thinking.
Well, we haven't checked it out fully yet.
Who's talking to Will? Just sorry,
Okay.
just because Will walked up to him. So
I think Will says, "Don't worry, Alveron. The true treasure are the friends we made along the way."
right,
But starts walking forward to like look for actual treasure.
right. Will, since you, everyone else was doing lay on hands and stuff, go ahead and give me an investigation check. Alveron would assist you, but they don't have it skilled, so they're just
What?
standing around.
Can I assist them with investigation? Lay on hands is just an action.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, you can have advantage on investigation.
You begin to look about. There's a lot of bones in here, mostly animal bones, but you do see some tattered clothing. What appears to be maybe a traveler, maybe an adventurer. You're not sure, but you begin to sift through the various different things. You Will, can you make me a D4 roll?
A D4.
1D4.
A 2. The greatest
And
number.
a D100.
D100. A 41. The best number minus 1.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So as you're looking through, no, it's not bad.
Mundane plate armor.
No, I don't think I've ever had somebody find this.
We find
Actually,
engines
quite good
in the game.
for not quite good, but thematic towards Will, I think. So as you're looking through this clothing, one body in particular seems to have some interesting stuff on it. You find 2 potions. One of them is a deep red color. The other one is like a almost off gray swirling color. It appears to have a sliver of something in it. But you also find that they are wearing a to you particularly interesting looking hat, which is unmarred in comparison to the rest of the clothing. You pick it up and make an Arcana check for me. You're glancing at it.
25.
25. This is definitely, you're kind of looking at it. You're looking at the stitching. There's some runes in the stitching. This is definitely a magical hat that you just found. You believe, 25, that it is a hat of disguise.
Will likes her own hat. Do I learn anything about the potions with my 25, or do I need to roll separately?
Roll separately for the potions. We'll say one. I will think. Yeah, no, roll separately actually.
So 1 for each of them. So
One for
the
two
red one
more.
first, and then the sliver.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh look, a 25,
The
and then a 50.
at 15. Okay.
I only do things in brackets of 5.
You did the really easy one. You roll high. This
Yeah.
one, it's a potion of healing, but you know from the particularities of it is that it's a potion of superior healing. The other one appears to you to be a potion of strength, but you're not sure of what quality.
Potion of some strength.
So the superior healing, just so you know, is the 8d4 plus 8 one.
Mm. It's like so many healing words.
As you are all looking about, this is over. Or once Will has found kind of the more interesting things. On the there's only about 3 humanoid bodies here. I don't think you guys kind of go through them. There appears to be 550 copper pieces between all of the various scattered coin purses, 855 silver pieces, and 40 gold. And write that. I'll put that in chat for you. Easy. Oops. I try to deselect the Drake so that you can actually
the
read
Drake's
that.
back. Man, how do disguise is cool.
You also, yeah, it is. That's why I laughed out. That's what you rolled for. The potions I had already pre-rolled. You also find 12 gems in a little carefully set pile in its lair, kind of where it seems to probably have bedded down.
12 gems, huh? While like we're kind of collecting all the money and putting it all into like a pile or whatever to work out how much it is, will say, "Oh, so this potion." She holds up the red one. It's a potion. She's shaking it like really unnecessarily violently, like very flippantly. It's a potion of superior healing. It's very good. She like offers it, probably in the direction of the non-Sulveran party members, like whether Uber or Medea wants it.
Medea will like sort of gesture to Uba and like the look of like, yeah, Uba's the one who's far more likely to get injured grievously.
Uba kind of scowls, knowing like what you're trying to imply, but will extend their hand out for the potion.
Will did not imply a difference between Medea and Uber in terms of likeliness to get stabbed.
Just because Sean's not here, even though I don't think Alveron would say anything. Alveron is the only party member without any healing magic.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe it would be better to give it to Alveron. That's me saying that, not Uba.
Will trusts that Alveron will be more prudent than perhaps other party members.
That's fair.
Which is why
he wouldn't
I don't
ask
think
for
Will...
it. I just want to advocate for Sean.
That's all right. I'm giving the potion of some strength. This is a potion of it's imbued with they're giant ones, right?
Yeah.
It's imbued with the power of a particular giant. I'm not sure which. Good if you need to be strong, and like offers it again just to anybody. She doesn't want it.
I feel like Uba or Alveron are really the only two. Well, no, Medea does a lot of melee weapon damage too.
I think Medea might be the only one that uses Medea might be the only one that uses strength to attack, other than Sulveran.
Yeah, Medea will reach for the potion. I think that's fair enough.
Sure. Do you have to drink the piece of the like frost giant?
You have to drink
the giant
the whole
that's in
thing.
It?
Yeah.
We'll be like,
that's
you have to drink the piece in there as well. It's pretty gross. And then like picks up the hat and says, "This is like a hat of disguise," and tosses it vaguely towards Alveron. What with him having a bounty on his head.
That's a good point. Alright, we'll look at it and say, well, how does it work? What do I have to do?
You have to put it on your head, and once I assume you attune, that's Jack doesn't know if it's an attunement slot.
It is an attunement thing, which Will would know.
Yeah, you attune to it, and then you can cast disguise yourself on yourself whenever you like. She kind
Oh.
of shrugs. She doesn't know the intimate details of how that hat works. She's just like, this is a fairly common thing.
Well,
Also-
look.
By the way, I wanted to ask as well, what does it mean by destroy the lair?
We have to
So-
go and check
yeah.
to make sure there's no other drakes,
Oh,
or
okay.
like drake young or eggs.
Sulveran is going
That
to
is
lean
fine.
into Medea and Uba. When you're done with the potion bottles, I wouldn't mind inspecting the dregs to see if I can learn anything about them. So don't dramatically throw them to the ground when you are done.
Actually, part of drinking the giant strength potion is that you do need to dramatically throw it to the ground after.
It's well known. Part.
That's every single story in which they're used.
You do find, now that you're kind of thinking about it, you kind of focused on treasure at first, a small clutch of eggs, 3 of them to be exact.
I know we're meant to destroy these eggs, but not a will question. This is a Jack question. How domesticatable are drakes?
Some are domesticable. It kind of depends.
Oh, these are barbarian drakes.
Yeah, it depends on how much effort you're going
Probably
into.
not.
These ones would probably be more difficult. But somebody might be interested in the eggs, certainly.
Would Melfindian be interested in buying these?
He might be. It's possible. He might be able to use them for, magic stuff,
I feel-
or know somebody who might be more interested.
I feel like Kala and Melfindian could definitely sell these.
Yeah, Uba, at the thought of destroying the eggs, looks like they're going to be sick. So Uba's not going to destroy one of the eggs.
So we could definitely take the eggs. We've still achieved the destruction of the lair because there's no drake to take over the lair. And then maybe look at selling them, perhaps get closer to that plate mail.
Mm-hmm.
They are a uniquely angry type of drake. It's potentially less good for domestication. And like Andrew, how likely is it that if we go selling these drake eggs, if they do ever wind up being actually hatched, they will just be put into a coliseum to fight things?
That's certainly one use somebody might have for them.
Right.
I think that Uba is going to not actually say anything, but they're going to reach out like they want to carry one of the eggs.
Yeah. Will does not have a vested interest in not allowing Uba to carry an egg.
It's also, I think Uba, especially because they were hatched from an egg, is going to be very, very careful with it. But considering drakes are way bigger, it's probably pretty large for Uba to carry.
Yeah.
But they're going to try their best.
It's a pretty good size. It's not like a full dragon egg, but it's pretty hefty. Probably about the size of an ostrich egg or something like that. Maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah. So
Sulveran is going to see Uba clutching this egg, and he is going to kind of set up. He's going to settle to his knees in front of them and open up his pack, pull out what is actually quite a nice and well kept fur, and place it in his pack and offer it over to Uba like a quiet little nest. He doesn't say anything, but he is offering a nest for it.
yeah, I think Uba's going to take that and wrap the egg in it. They would carry more, but I think they only have the ability to carry one.
Sulveran will take the other two, presumably, and also carefully wrap them before he. And as he does so, he pauses to pull that wine and adjust it so that.
How heavy is the drake body, by the way?
The body, pretty heavy.
I haven't put it on tonight.
It's the size of a horse, so it probably weighs up almost as much as a horse does. So 1,000.
I'm stressed out pretty
pounds.
bad when I put it on.
I could not carry that myself.
Yeah,
Um,
I will say it weighs 1,250 pounds.
Okay. If I had a steed from Fine Steed, could they drag it?
Yes.
Like a war horse?
Yeah, they could drag it. They'd just be dragging it on the ground. So
Okay. I mean, would that affect it all that much?
if your goal is to like skin this later on and you're dragging it a full day away to a town, it might.
Do we want to skin it here? I'll ask.
It was
Do
says
we?
that would probably be more efficient, but I don't think I can watch this and is going to go towards the exit.
Can you at least borrow one of your knives?
Uba takes out their regular dagger and hands it over to you.
We'll
But-
also offer you the +1 scimitar if that is a more fitting size to cut this drake apart.
Medea will
Like-
say it. The scimitar is a wildly impractical instrument to skin an animal.
Will shrugs and says, "I think if you're good enough at skinning, the knife's not that important." But she kind of shrugs
Uba
and says,
makes the
"Don't miss that point." Oh, I don't have any bardic inspiration to give you. Said.
Do I still have my inspiration from earlier?
You haven't used it.
I never used it.
Yeah. How long does it last, Jack? A minute? 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, you would still have it.
Okay. I'm gonna skin it.
Yeah, Sulveran, as they're coming up to skin it, is going to like come stand shoulder to shoulder and kind of just like pointing out like areas where the scales look weakened and the anatomical lines from having hunted ice drakes and other similar drakes
I will
in hopes of
roll
advantage.
survival. Oh, you have survival.
I don't think they do.
No, just like a.
No,
Was-
you can't give
I have
advantage
another-
without having this.
Okay.
You could give guidance.
You could
Yeah,
give guidance.
so in that
What?
case,
What with that being what you were doing anyway.
yeah.
I like the idea that in Sulveran's
then-
brain it's so
Better
insightful, but
guys.
really it's just like Mordain being like, "All right, I'll
That's a
help
30 total.
Okay. Yeah, pretty deftly between Sulveran's guidance and Will's inspiration from earlier, and then your own natural skill. It's a skins as easy as other creatures you've skinned before. You make pretty quick work of slicing it open and peeling back the skin, taking off as much as you can, and you get a pretty good, pretty clean whole skin off of it. Obviously, you don't get every piece of scale, just because some parts are just not worth getting in the amount of time that you have. But much like a deer, you've gotten the vast bulk of it.
How much
and it
would that
looks.
be?
You're talking about like pounds. We'll just
Yeah.
consider it to be 100 pounds.
Okay, I can carry
Okay,
that. How much would it add to grab the skull as well?
Just grab the what?
The skull.
Well, it's not a skull because they're still flesh, but the head probably weighs like 150 pounds, I guess. That
Oh,
sounds about
Jesus.
right.
I could not carry that, so I will leave it there.
I will attempt to just extract a tooth.
Yeah, 15% of the total body weight seems about right. Sure, you can just pull out a tooth if you just want one.
Well, if they're easy to just pull out, I'll pull out 2 teeth.
Can I pull out some of the spines?
With your 30, yes, you can pull out some of the spines. They're not super big, but
But he is just later gonna use weaver's tools to make like a small necklace out of it, like thread rope and make some.
okay. Yeah, you
Uh,
pull out some spines. They're
Have
basically
we
bones.
completely explored this cave? Or do I have to continue
No,
moving through the cave?
you go. I was using it spell.
Yeah.
You can go around. There's bones here, but when you were doing your initial investigation, I've kind of considered you
Okay, good.
have explored the cave.
I am not first.
Yeah, you really don't have to move throughout the map there. There's nothing.
I just wanted to see what the full map looked like, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Just kind of curious.
You can't see the full map because I have parts of it blocked off because there's stuff in the map that I'm
Yeah.
not using.
All right. Well, we should get back. You know, is there enough of the goat to take back that it could be used for like meat?
Yeah, I mean, it would be, you might want to cut off like the
You'd have to
parts
butcher
that have been
around it,
chewed
right?
on. Yeah, you'd have to
Yeah.
butcher around it, but yeah, there's probably a good half
I
a
don't-
goat left.
Do you want me to make
I
a
don't think-
survival check or something to try and like just preserve the meat and not bring like the grotesque butchered
Oh
corpse?
no! Will's not trying to do that. Will's like, could you just take this and somebody could do their thing to it? Will doesn't know how to butcher stuff.
I could.
But I think it's probably better to leave it unless we have a way of carrying it easily.
Uh,
Can I take
Sulveran-
one of the? No, you go.
Sulveran will just begin lashing it together to lash to his back because he is large and burly.
Yeah, you could probably just pick it up by the legs and like carry it.
Yeah,
like that.
he just lashes a rope around its like legs and just like swings it over his neck. And blood's just trickling down him, and he's just.
Will says to Sulveran, do you think you would be interested in helping me bury this goat where we used it as bait?
I can do that.
I think that's a fitting way to treat its sacrifice for the village.
If it's inedible, certainly.
Sure. All right. I mean, Will
Right.
thinks about like, should I just make it inedible then? But I think Sulveran will just trust Will that it's not. Yeah, on the way back, Will would like to quickly bury it there then.
Okay. You all head back. By the time you get back, it's like probably 2 a.m. or something like that. Like pretty late.
Good thing no one's exhausted, right?
I know, right? Yeah, Alveron and Sulveran are like, you quickly dig a hole to bury the remains of the goat.
I'll lend Will a shovel.
Give it a little. Alveron will help out.
Will bury it. Say a fleeting prayer to Vera to watch over this like space.
When we get back into town, can I ask the elder if the goat has any children?
The goat as
Weird.
you return
So-
to the bar,
Weirdo.
and I think it's empty
How many
except
kids you
for
got?
except for the bartender and the elder who are like waiting, to see if you guys come back or not, since it seems like you guys are hunting. So as you enter, the elder will like look at everything and like clearly seems like you've accomplished it, but he's not. Did you do it? Is the job done?
Lydia will pull out a hunk of the scales, like
Sure,
they
the
harvested.
scales.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness. It's and he'll like motion to the bartender to grab you all some ales. Hey, just a small thanks, and of course your reward. And I'll pull out, place a sack of coins on the table. And it's lair. Did you
Yes,
destroy that?
Yes, it's what eggs are in it are gone.
It's still a cave, It's like
Well, sure.
it's just not a cave that has a drake lair in it anymore. It's a lot of bones.
He nods and he'll pull out a smaller purse and goes, your bonus. Thank you. We really can't thank you enough. If you can stick around for a couple days, we're more than happy to throw. We'll have a small feast.
Will looked at the others to see how they like.
Might be good.
Ubo
Be
looks extremely pleased at the idea of a feast, and they've covered up the eggs so that the villagers can't see they have it still.
Lydia's going to look at the elder and say, would you mind dedicating the feast to the goat's honor as well? Us and the goat. They were truly noble in their side.
A funeral and a feast for a goat. This is not something I have yet done.
Perhaps
Yeah.
proclaim it Goat's Day.
Okay, we will have a feast in the honor of you and Vela, the goat, which was instrumental, I suppose.
Yes.
Did the goat
The
survive?
bravest among us. No, the goat died horribly.
Okay.
Honestly traumatic.
Well, it was going to happen sooner or later. All right, I'm going to go to bed now because I stayed up all night just waiting for you. You're welcome to sleep here. Enjoy those ales. The bleary-eyed gets up and exits. This isn't really an inn, so they don't have like guest beds, but you're kind of like, here's a tap room. You're the only ones in here. You want to sleep here? Alveron immediately is like, well, I'm going to bed. And, pops up a chair, leans back, and falls asleep.
Yeah.
Do we want to keep the gems as like a group hoard thing?
Yep. I guess I don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter to me as Jack and to Will as Will. I don't care. Like people can use it to pay for stuff if they like. People can. But yeah, it also depends on what they're worth. Because if we just sell them, we can always split that money. Like,
How much are they worth?
You don't
I think we have to take them
nobody's-
to a
Okay,
gem
I don't think
Wait, do I
anybody
know-
here would. I'll allow you to make a same thing as before. Int.
intelligence with the
Yeah.
Jack of all trades.
You just click nature again
Right.
if you want.
Certainly, I have had more cause to know the price of gems in my lifetime.
Yes.
Would nature be viable for knowing the price of gems?
Ah,
It would certainly be viable.
Will
Can I make a nature check on them as well?
Like jeweler's tools are a thing, so that would be the best. But yeah, you're welcome to give it a shot. Like you're all no gems.
Okay.
Will
they
always
don't
hated
seem-
using gems as butter. Like, it's just annoying.
Yes, you will. You're kind of looking at them. All of you can tell, even with an 8, they're not like super valuable. These aren't like that or anything like that. Will and Uba, you would guess these are like probably not more than 100, but probably less than that. Medea, you're pretty confident that these, the majority of these gems are probably worth, 10-ish gold. But 2 of them are nicer. You might be able to get closer to 50 for them.
Okay. Medea will share that information with everybody.
Just from past experience of having traded gems before.
Yeah, Will is largely the same. So it doesn't matter to Will what happens with money. I'll
So-
send a.
All told, you would guess this. You probably got them in a pouch now. Of 12 gems, is probably worth around 200 gold. You might be able to get a better or worse price depending on where you go.
That's it. I think Will is also going to sleep pretty quickly behind Alveron and planning to wake up very early.
Okay.
Like, even if it's less of a sleep, Will doesn't necessarily need that much of a long rest. But yeah, she wants to be up like basically when people start waking up from the town.
Okay. Yeah, you all go to sleep, assuming there's nothing else somebody wanted to do. Will, you wake up before everybody else, as everyone's kind of still sleeping away in the tap room.
I'm going to ask: is like there a new bartender around now?
Yeah,
Or does
somebody's like
nobody's
going about doing, getting
breakfast
ready for
things?
the morning. Yeah, preparing breakfast kind of thing. But they're trying to not disturb you all.
I will ask where the elder lives.
Yeah, he'll give you direction. He says it's oh, that's easy. It's about 3 doors down on the right.
Yeah, so I think Will heads out and just goes to the elder's house and like, raps on the door pretty loudly.
They'll open it. The heroes of their town. What can I do for you?
So I, as Jack, want to know if
Mhm.
Will like comes to the same place that Jack does. Of like, this town just lost a bunch of livestock, just paid an enormous amount of gold. Like them throwing a feast for us surely is like a mistake resource wise.
I mean, you don't know the economic situation of this town, but if it was as big a deal as the elder was like seeming, then yeah, it might be like a little bit extravagant to throw a feast for you guys.
Alright.
But
Then
it's not
we'll-
necessarily gonna starve them. You don't think?
Yeah. It's enough that Will is like, I have seen like people die for so much like less than this, and like the money doesn't mean anything to Will. Will could be earning so much money, it's like
Yeah.
ridiculous. So I think Will kind of reaches into her coat and pulls out, she's put a like thing of 50 gold or whatever away and says, I don't really need as much as I took of that share yesterday. And she tosses like the thing in her hand and says, I'm going to give you this back to cover most of the feast, I guess, but also buy a new goat for the people that like we use their goat.
Like
Buy them
looks down.
buy them an equivalent goat. That will be
An
very
equivalent
funny.
goat. Oh well, I certainly don't need this much for an equivalent goat.
Will kind of laughs and says, I just
Very generous.
yeah, your town had already been assailed by a drake. I don't necessarily think that I need to take extra for dealing with the lair. Let's just say that was my portion, and she gives it to the elder.
I thank you for your concern. I think the town could use a bit of fun after all this stress, but it's good to know that it's not going to cost us extra.
Will smiles and says, sure, I always like trying feasts in new lands, I suppose, so now I don't feel any guilt about imposing on you further.
Ah, that means we can throw a better feast.
Well, how you celebrate is your business, Geladian. Geladian? Is that really his name?
It's when I was writing it, I think in my
Geladian.
notes it was supposed to be a ya sound, but then I said
Geladian?
Geladian, yeah.
Yaladian.
Yeah.
Geladian.
I don't like either of those, so Will's
Latin.
It's one of the classic Andrew throwback bad names.
Yeah, when Andrew doesn't say a name out loud until it appears on screen, those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I think we'll just go and kind of wander through the town, see if there's actually anything to this town beyond livestock farming.
Yeah, as you look about the town, there seems to be a number of like not clothiers or anything like that, but they're turning wool into cloth. Even early in the day, there's already a couple of people like working. You could tell like just by glancing in windows and stuff, working away at weaving tools to spin cloth, kind of thing.
Andrew,
Yes.
no, sorry. Yeah, could I ask if this is like apparent to us in the town? Could I ask the elder if anyone who's experienced in weaving can help teach me?
Certainly, you could try to do that. Let me finish my descriptions.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So you see a number of people doing some weavings kind of things. It's early, so a lot of people are kind of leaving out, taking the herds here and there. But you can also see there is a brewery in the town. Brewery is maybe not the right word. Distillery, where they seem to be distilling things, and a couple there's a general store. It's not like a super well stocked. You're not going to find any magic items or anything here, but they've got useful tools and like good traveling clothes, that kind of thing. Stuff that would be useful to the people that live in the town. Other than that, there's not that much here. Like it really is like a larger village, more than it is a town. But there's the well, and there's probably also in addition to the bar and everything, like a small amphitheater would be generous, but a space that has been carved away into one of the hills that is good for meetings and discussions. If a traveling troupe were to pass through, they would probably play here.
All right, I think we'll probably need some rations from their travel in general, so we'll buy them here to help the economy of this town rather than give it to some random general store in Lanfagon. And then we'll go sit in the amphitheater, and if she can get a fresh breakfast or something, we'll just eat it sitting in the amphitheater, looking at a place that she doesn't really consider to be an innate home for her, like a stage.
All right. You can do this for a little bit. In the meanwhile, everyone else begins to awake. Medea, as you begin to go through the town, you kind of look into this and make a mental note to ask about weaving when you see the elder next. And they're more than happy to have a couple people show you, their process or their techniques.
I would also like to ask Will. Can I get Will's attention at some point in the day?
Yeah, she's literally doesn't want to be here. She doesn't want to do this feast thing that you all agreed to, so she's more than happy to be distracted.
Medea would like to ask Will if they know any patterns for traditional Gathite blankets or coverings.
She knows ones that are traditional to her tribe. So yeah, she can probably sketch something out relatively quickly for you.
Yeah. Okay.
It might have been the design that was on the sails of their ships, something like that.
Yeah.
But she can sketch a couple of variants for you. Do you want me to make a roll, Andrew, for
No,
Will's artistic ability?
You could just do that. I think there wouldn't be super complex patterns. So,
Autism. My tribe, I've seen a bit of what Sulveran has been writing, I think, for you, but my tribe was very different. I don't know how applicable these will be. The difference, presumably, between the small town that you asked the dragon about versus my hometown. There might be similarities, but they're probably not that in traditional. But these are what I would do. Also, a lot of Gathite venerate Vera, so there's a lot of religious stuff in Gathite symbology, and we'll get some charcoal and stuff.
Yeah. During the downtime, I'd like to ask them for help to make a sort of shawl that uses both the patterns Will gave me and the patterns I've seen on Sulveran's clothing. Sort of desert shawl or covering.
Are you asking Will for help or the people?
Yeah, if Will's willing to help them work on the pattern.
Yeah, I mean, Will is not necessarily visually artistic, so he will offer to be nearby and be like, yes, that probably looks right.
With Will and the other like weavers in the town.
Will has done an approximation of Gathite culture, which is potentially offensive. No, I think Will's probably better at it than Jack would be, so we'll definitely point out places that you can, like, make something more Gathite or less Gathite.
Yeah. Okay.
Will accidentally culturally appropriate everything.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm like, I don't think that's a thing that I have to worry about in Imris, but I
Probably
as Jack
not.
would not be doing that. Yeah,
Mm. How many did you say we were staying for a few days in town, Andrew, before the feast?
I did say a couple days, but they're really probably going to throw you the feast the next night.
Could, with the help of like people who are more experienced, I make like a shawl that night.
No, there's no way.
Okay, I'll just decide on it.
One of them could probably do it for you, but in this situation, since you are not proficient in Weaver's tools, you're probably going to be more of a hindrance than a help if you want to be a significant part of the process.
I will then just like ask for their help to start the process.
Okay, yeah, you can start working on it. I mean, you'll get like a band done of the shawl. So you spend most of the day on this. You get a good chunk of it done, but it does take a while to do these things.
Okay.
Make me Weaver's tools dexterity. You're not proficient in this, so it's just a straight roll.
Do they do intelligence for Weaver's tools?
No, I'm pretty sure it feels very much like a dex thing to me. Because this is intricate handwork. There's, your brain can understand it, but your hands have to do it.
So just dex then?
Yeah, just a straight dex check.
Okay. I'm terrible at it, so just attack.
Okay, 10. I mean, it's average. Like you've never really done this before, but there are people helping you. So you progress. It's not perfect. There are flaws in it, but it's something that you made.
Yeah. Okay.
right. So I've been hanging around with Medea, like watching this much of the day, right? Because Will doesn't have anything else to do. This is literally a nothing town. Can I start thinking of a way to tinker together something that sort of automates some of that like intricate hand movement with Weaver's tools?
Sure. Do you have Tinker's tools?
I do have Tinker's tools,
Yeah,
Andrew.
go ahead and make a Tinker's tools check.
I don't know how to make skill proficiency rolls, but
Medea very obviously struggles with
that's
the
something that they're
handiwork.
going to add in an update. I forgot about that. You could just we'll know it's
18.
Okay. You're kind of thinking about it. You're like, You kind of begin to imagine in your head, a large machine that might do some of the weaving process a bit quicker to replicate some of these complex hand motions that Medea is making, and start to think about it. You don't have the materials available, but you'll start to make like some quick sketches and think about how you could construct such a thing.
Will start working on that to kind of help Medea through this like urge to weave, but not having like the dexterity to do it quite as confidently as like. Oh, I need to have a page of my book for the things that I am working on.
Right.
Time for this.
Yeah, I have a page that's just like different tasks Medea is working on this one.
Uba, as you wake up and are going about the day, I think you probably have the urge to check up on the eggs every so often.
Probably.
They kind of fascinate you a little bit. You're not sure if they are what's it called? Not inebriated, but fertilized or not. But you kind of hold them and very, very careful with them. You spend I think not an insignificant portion of the day doting a bit on these eggs. Not inebriated eggs.
The drunkest eggs in the world.
The drunkest eggs. You all, spend. Sulveran, did you want to do anything? And Uba, for that matter, is there anything else you wanted to do?
I think
No
the
is the
only
valid
thing
answer.
that Uba may have done, I think, is hang out wherever the food is being created for this feast and maybe chatting with some of the people there. But I do think that they'd probably spend most of their day being kind of a mother hen to the eggs.
They have, you imagine, slaughtered a pig for this, or we'll say they've slaughtered a pig for this event. So very classic. Up on a fire, there's a roasting whole pig, and you can see it like slowly browning, glazing over the course of the day as you are like around them preparing. They also begin to prepare a number of other dishes that you kind of watch it happen. A lot of like simpler stuff. This is a village. They don't necessarily have the fanciest things, but eventually the sun begins to set at the end of the day, and all these tables are arranged. The hog is sliced up and begins to be served. The elder will kind of get in front of everybody and gesture towards all of you as everybody starts to get gathered up and say, it'll say in Elkarn and then kind of repeat himself in Common. So, Will, you have a bit of a chance to practice a little bit. But he just gives a speech. He says, these are our heroes. I want everybody to treat them as best you can and make sure they get good and drunk and well fed. He steps down. Short, very simple speech. And you guys are fed. The pig is really excellent. Roast pig, can't go wrong. There are a number of other dishes. There's a local goulash spice blend that they give to you piled up in flatbread, or in between two pieces of flatbread. So it's a goulash sandwich that tastes really excellent. And they also ply you with, of course, ale. They offer each of you a large glass of scrum, which is a very dark black, not dark black, but a very dark brown liquid that smells like alcohol.
We're off work now, so Will can go back to drinking.
It's true.
So Will fry scrum, but won't have scrum and ale. That feels decadent.
I think
Medieval
Silver
asked if they have any vegetables or like salad.
They certainly have vegetables. I don't know about not a lettuce salad, but they have salad. Yeah, they've got stuff besides meat.
They'll bring like a plate of salad and walk over to Uba and like offer it.
Various kinds of tubers and different things.
I'm sure Uba would take the salad and pretend to smile warmly about it, but at some point when Medea walks away, would probably just hand it to someone else.
Will just suddenly looks down and has a plate of salad. Where did this even come from?
Sulveran is being very cautious about this scrum. Sniffed it, recoiled a bit, and then is sipping at it lightly while he works his way through the pig.
Yeah, Uba is eating an absurd amount of the pig and is also drinking a fair amount of the. What did you say it was called? Scrum?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we're
Uba has a
all
little bowl of the
underestimating the
scrum.
power of scrum.
Uba, go ahead, roll a Constitution saving throw.
Oh Lord.
Alveron, it doesn't taste as like strongly as you might expect. Like it's actually kind of it has not a sweetness but like a warmness to it. It almost reminds you of like honeyed tea or something like that. Like it's not quite. It doesn't have like that whiskey burn to it, but as soon as like you've been sipping for a little bit, it hits your head, and you are like, ooh, this. You're sipping, so you have good control over it. You tell it's strong though. Uba, however, you're like, oh, alcohol. Oh, that's pretty good. And then Uba is drunk after this one glass.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Scrum's like tastes like cordial or
Yes.
like mead, but is 97% proof. Like
Yeah.
it's just all alcohol. Yeah, I think
That-
Will doesn't like have an urge to drink heavily because everybody's been kind of on her case a bit about drinking. Which
Some of
like,
the villagers are going to try to get each of you to dance with them.
I mean,
Uba's-
Will dance. Like, feels like a nice thing to do.
I
When in
think that-
Rome,
Yeah. I think Uba, because I said before that Uba has really bad rhythm, so I think Uba's going to be enthusiastically dancing, but really, really badly, especially because they're drunk.
Right. Several lutes are broken out as the eating starts to wind down, and a number of musicians begin to strum, play, hitting on their lutes to make to keep up with beats in between their strumming, and you all begin to dance. Not you all, but some of you begin to dance.
Medea is the worst dancer anyone has ever
Yeah, I
seen.
think
He
the
has
party-
both a dump set in Dex and Charisma. He is just the worst.
I think Alveron, Will said that they're not dancing. Is that right?
no, Will said that Will dance. Like,
Okay. Will and Alveron are probably the best dancers amongst the five of you, with Will certainly beating out Alveron, but Alveron not being too shabby about it. Uba, meanwhile, is like, woo, dancing, kind of, despite their dexterity, not the best at this sort of thing. Bumping into people. I think Medea is just very awkward in their dancing. Like,
No, Medea is enthusiastic about it. It's just awful. It's just bad.
but I mean, awkward in like, like a gangly person walking.
He's doing the like white boy who's never danced at a club dance, you know?
Oh, no.
Yeah, Sulveran is way too aware of his size to try dancing in this space with all of these people, and so he is just watching, like quite satisfied with his scrum that he's slowly sipping.
I think the villagers are even more entertained by the two poor dancers than they are impressed by the good dancers, and are kind of laughing, but also joining in. And they've been drinking, so they're also feeling loose and not always the best. But the night passes. As you all, even I think Will, who's maybe not that interested in it, warms up, and you have fun before waking the next day to return to Talonfigon. I think that's where we're going to end the session, and we'll pick up with you guys back in the city. Sorry, go ahead.
I will buy a bottle of scrum to give to Calla. Because although I'm sure you can get scrum elsewhere, like this is the scrum that like they had here.
Yeah. It's actually surprisingly cheap in this village, although you might be getting a discount. So they'll only charge you a gold for the bottle.
A gold? I should probably take that 50 gold off as well, and not just assume that I did that. Done. I have nothing else to do.
All right. Yeah, I think that's where we're going to end today's session. I hope you all had fun. Nice little combat encounter.
Yeah, it's like a filler episode while we wait for Sean to come back for Alveron and stuff.
Yeah, it was fun.
Good to
It's very
see
nice to just
people at 5th level, extra attacks and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, fifth level as a bard it's great in combat.
it's I just really enjoyed getting to beat something's ass. It's been so many sessions since we just fucking beat the shit out of something.
This was also such a like perfect encounter for our exact group, where like there's no complexity. It's just like you stand toe to toe with the thing, and you hit it harder than it can hit you, while
Yeah.
Sulveran and Will are nearby.
Yeah,
Also,
Right.
the backhanded slap was perfect.
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah. No, it was a good fight as well because it took some could take damage. I gave, just so people watching know, I gave them several options ahead of time to choose from, so we weren't wasting a bunch of time in sessions on it. And they went with the Drake one, which I thought was a good one. I think there were two in particular. I was like, I think they're going to do one of these. I'm not sure which, but of the ones that I've just written, I think they're going to be most attracted to these two, and they were. So this goes to show.
Because they had the most money on.
They didn't have the
No.
money when we looked at them like first, right?
No,
Yeah,
they
that's
didn't.
No, they
true,
didn't.
but we knew.
Good tell. All right.
Yeah,
No.
I thought the bounty was like always the most offensive. Anyway, it'll be good to get back next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hope you all enjoyed it. Always have a good one.